Everybody. How are you all doing? I hope you're all very well. Good to see you. Nice to see you, Etienne. Nice to see you, 3000 Trin. Good to see you, Zoner. It's good to see you, Peter. Hope you're all doing very, very well. Thank you so much for joining me. I currently have no idea why this tip jar looks full on the stream as it happens, but there you go. I think it's maybe from me testing it earlier on. You can see the coins are nice and big now. Is there a way of me resetting this, I wonder? I have no idea. Anyway, good to have you here. As you can see, I've got the Discord up behind me at the minute, and we are just going to get ready for this live stream here. Give everybody a few minutes to tune in and come along for the Streamio. I've got the chart up here behind me as well. Make that full screen, so you've got something to look at. In the meantime, jump down a wee bit, go to the 5-minute chart. Why not? And open that up. See where we are at the moment. Do you want to have some oscillators on the screen? I think I'll just leave them off for now. And what we have is a live stream on the go. So everybody, thank you so much for joining me. And I just want to bring up the video itself and show people the description. And I've tried to put in some timestamps here, but that's probably not going to actually work for everybody. But it's an idea, and it's an idea to try and stick to this for the start of the show. So at 5 minutes into this thing, we'll see how... Oh, I don't want to have my own voice coming through. That's going to be terrible. God, I can't listen to that guy. Within the first sort of 5 minutes, we'll get over this whole thanks for joining me time. And we'll take a look then at Tezos, then Chainlink, then Bitcoin, then Ethereum, and then I'll come back to the chat box again for a wee bit of discussion, and we'll take a look at other coins and whatever Can you show us a range, please, Rocky? We could show you a range. Sure. Let's just tune in for the chat here and say hello to everybody, and I'll bring the charts up behind me and try and get rid of the coins that are already in the jar. Good to see you, Trade Spotting. Lovely to have you here. And that guy with the kendama, thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. Evening, afternoon, good morning. It's delightful to have you here. The current price, by the way, of Bitcoin is $19,279.65. As you can see over here on the left, that's where you'll see the current price floating around on the screen all the time. And that is, of course, a countdown timer for us. So we have the 5-minute chart giving me a rough idea, I suppose, as we look at the charts here on the 5 minutes and start off the show, how long we've got for each section. So real quick, say hello to everybody in the chat and then come back and see if it is all good. I don't know why I've got coins in there already, honestly. Does anybody know how to get rid of the coins that are already in there? That would be good to know. Anyway, welcome to the show, everybody. Thanks for joining me, and hit like if you can. Do that on the stream. That would really appreciate it. And let's just say hello to the last couple of people that have joined. Let's see, of course, Peter, how you doing? Can you show us a range? I'll take a look at that in a second. And nice to see you, Ethan. Good to have you here. Might need the volume up, Rocky, he says. Okay, cool, yes. Bringing the volume up a bit. Is that a little bit better? I hope that's a bit better. Great, cool. Well, we're starting off by taking a look at Tezos here and jumping on over to the Tezos chart. We can see it's at $2.70. Oh, wow. Well, I have the 5-minute chart behind me, and of course that's for good fun for just now, but I'll take a look at the 24-hour chart here. To start things off and check in where we've come up as high as, well, that 2.24 Fibonacci retracement up there at $2.78. We actually took that out and came back down the way. So I suppose at the minute we're looking here and seeing, can we really break this trend? Have to jump down a 4-hour time frame here to the 4-hour time frame and take a look and say, can we break this sort of trend that we're in right now with regards to the XTZ, and then and make it above that 2 area. This is our fake out zone for just now, so we can keep that in mind if we're down on the lower time frames, looking at these lines and kind of understanding where they are in relation to the price right now, which is coming up towards testing that area at this 270 area. If we were to drop down the way, then you'd hope for this 261 where that 1618 was at to come in and hope for some support, but you would be looking down, I suppose, towards 250, which might be a great rebuy opportunity for people. 250 being a significant number from the past, where we have a 236 coming in there at 244, but whatever, it was around about 250 for the longest time. So I can just ditch this back down to the 5-minute chart and then run through the other things real quick so that people can join along with this show and have a rough idea how things are going to pan out for the show, because we have that in the description down below for everybody, a kind of rough idea of the menu for the next sort of 25 minutes. Right, cool, nice one. I've got no idea how long we're into this stream at the minute though, so figuring that out at any given time is always going to be a challenge. Right, yeah, link then. So that just things are looking good on this, right? We can kind of do more sort of technical analysis on this in a wee bitty, I suppose, if we want to have it on this small time frames. We know that this area up above at 273, where that line is going to be important, and down below us we're looking down towards that 265 area. Could maybe put a horizontal in there just for these wee tinky winky time frames. And then jump on over to Link, and thanks very much again for everybody joining me. Thanks for giving me that heads up on the volume levels there, by the way. So thanks very much. Just the voice volume, yeah, so it touches the yellow. Oh, we have got somebody who knows what they're doing in the building with 3,000 trin. Fantastic. Yeah, I've got it just doing that. Sometimes it pushes into the yellow, but mostly it's kind of just up near it. Thanks so much for that tip. Brilliant. Nice one. Good evening, says Tony. Good to have you here, buddy. Thanks for tuning in. And yeah, this is Link, and what we have on the go is still finding ourselves within this. Oh, this is the Bitcoin pairing, of course, within this range. I want to be looking at the dollar pairing though to begin with here, and we are above that liquidity zone. That's nice to see from yesterday's episode, and the question mark pattern. jump back up to the big time frame so you can see it. What was it on again? Do you remember from yesterday's? The question mark pattern here is truly still in play. We've got this question. I'm going to take it away actually. We've got this question to be answered right now. Will we stay above this? Will we stay above this liquidity zone here and move towards our upper side targets or not? If we don't, we've got a couple of clear targets towards the downside, a few areas where we could be looking to for support, and of course towards the top side we've got that price target with this wedge kind of idea coming up towards $18. If you go for the big old move off of it, you could be a bit more sort of circumspect with that, maybe, and going at about $10. $17. So yeah, that's what we've got to aim for up above. We're looking quite good to have got up to where we are just now, so that's nice to see. Thank you so much, Chainlink, for doing that. We want to see the prices stay above this $15.63 area just for now, and if we're looking for breaking up above anything, let's try and get up above where this line kind of happens to be at the minute. Just, you know, this will be the next sort of porter call for us. Can we take out these wicks at 16.36? So we've got a good 60 cents up above us if there were to be trades to be happening in the next wee while in terms of these lower term time frames, managing our risk, of course, in around about that zone. So I suppose maybe if we're looking at things for the duration of this episode on these small time frames, which is what I was kind of thinking of doing today, then how about we all keep our eye out for this target first, and if we do go past that 16 or 15.62, maybe we look down the way towards 15.27, and that can be our sort of danger zones for us. But of course there's a big empty space up there for any space cowboys chain link space cowboys to go fill up there. Right, cool, nice one. So back over to the chat again. Nobody said anything else. That's good to see, because then everybody knows what the format for the show is. Thank you so much for joining me. If you hit that like button, that would be excellent. It'd be cool if we could keep the likes up nice and high with everybody joining in and showing the channel that support and all that good stuff. And thanks everybody for joining us. And I should really give as well a shout out to Zach, Z to the T to the E-C-K. Yeah, I got that time, Zach. And if you do tune in for this one, then cool to see that you're the latest subscriber. Anybody else who hasn't subscribed, be great to have you on board. Then I said that what we would do is look at Ethereum here. So let's try and see if we can get any ideas about any sort of smaller term targets in the same way that we've been doing with the other few coins so far. This, of course, being the 5-minute chart here. It's kind of all over the place at the minute, but like looking towards the top side, and this line here kind of staring us in the face that we've obviously broken above previous highs. This is where our Fibonacci was drawn into before. Jumping back up towards the where's the beanie tonight, says Peter here. I decided, you know, I can't wear a hat all the time. A man needs to show his hair to the world and all the rest of it. So yeah, cool, nice one. We still have the same sort of targets in mind if we were to see a pullback, given that today's price candles have come in as a sort of doji candle. Look, staring at this $608 area in the face and asking, can we get up towards 625, where we have been as high as today, and actually, you know, push on towards the top side or not? Those are the main things that we're going to be taking a look at here in this little segment, because really Ethereum's done very, very, very well. It's had a really lovely move towards the top side. We see that the volume is increasing. It's not gone astronomical and really showing any sorts of real breakout volume, which is what's given me a little touch of hesitation when it comes to, like, you know, being straight onto the moon rocket there with this one necessarily before, you know, looking past 625, because we could be coming down to any of these targets. And it was nice to see that it's been supported up above this 236 along the way in this sort of parabolic move, you know, every sort of stage as coming in and asking the question, will it be? And it has done. So that's good to see. So you know, it's positive, but we don't have that huge surge in volume to go along with this sort of ascending wedge breakout here, or your channel breakout, or anything else to be looking at. So that's kind of a little bit disconcerting, but I can kind of, well, actually I was going to remove that from the chart. Maybe in a sense I could just drag it on up the way and say this is kind of giving us a rough idea of some places to look to, but in the meantime really what it comes down to is these two levels, is these two levels 625, and then if we're going to want to stay positive, of course, on this one, which we do, because it's very bullish and all the rest of it, 577 going to be that sort of downside support level for us, just now on that one. And that's going to do us for Ethereum, I suppose, in this meantime thing. Jumping down towards the 5-minute candles, then what we are looking up towards is, of course, this yellow line for our top side. And there are areas then we need to find, I suppose, to be looking at below, but we've got it kind of laid out here quite nicely between these two for us. We can put on some oscillators and all the rest of it as we go through the show, take suggestions from people for what to look at and all that good stuff. Hit the like button if you just joined us, by the way, thanks so much, and all that. And let's see, my 1-to-1 target for ETH is 660. Well, you know, 660, that's pretty good. Obviously, we've got this to look at in the meantime anyhow. I was just thinking we'd look at things on a smaller term time frame. I was thinking, can we fit this in a way that would make it so, like, you know, we could put another line in? And we could keep it on in here. So let's put it in for it's being suggested now. So there's the next sort of target up towards the top side for us. How about that? That's a bit of fun. And let's go and take a look at the Bitcoin pricing. And let's look at a couple of things here, I suppose, starting off by looking at the CME charts here, where we can remove that big circle that we have on the charts and go up from the 24-hour to the 24-hour time frame and check in with a couple of things. A couple of them, of course, being that this ever-changing Fibonacci sequence that we've got on the go here with this background trend line and everything else. I don't really care much for this, but you know, if we were to be looking at this in the future and thinking, ooh, this would be nice to have taken a look at the time, here it is for us, I suppose. Maybe I should just hide that because it's distracting. Really what I wanted to kind of show at the minute is how high we are in general on the Bitcoin prices. So we're not at the all-time highs, as you can see in the 24-hour time frame for Bitcoin, but if I just zoom in a bit over here and go to the left and show you, this was of course an open and then a close. So in terms of where we are with regards to closes on the 24-hour time frame on the CME chart here, let's acknowledge that currently the prices are above that on the 24-hour time frame. So there's a couple other things we could look at to put this into a bit more context for us. How about, have we closed out a 12-hour time frame candle above the previous highs, or are we on our way to doing that in the next 2 hours and 53 minutos? Well, we could be. It's a little bit above us in terms of this chart. We're looking at 19,745, but if we're looking for us to be taking out all-time highs, then you know it's actually within spitting distance of where we are now. So there's a lot of good things that we could look at, and the 5-minute candles suddenly kind of make a little bit more sense. But I'm going to not do that whole 5-minute jazz here on the CME charts. Just a few things to kind of point out with regards to really how high up the prices have come. I've went out into space there for a second with the charts. You know, that's what we're talking about, though. This is the levels that we're at. And yeah, so you can see in the weekly chart kind of cleans up that aspect for us. Obviously, we're way above where we were, and this previous close here was above all of our previous closes in terms of the weekly, so that's really positive to see. And up here on the charts, you know, downside targets in terms of the 236 coming in with the Fibonacci that's drawn in from, well, no point in talking about it that way just now. Let's just go all the way down to here and talk about this 236. That's at 17,430. That's a huge distance away from where we are. So just diving on down the way, we've cleaned up a bit of area for us to take a look at, and we can go down to the 4-hour time frame and see, you know, where the last sort of low to high was here. And oh, we've got a Fibonacci drawn in already around that area. Ugh. Overlap. Yeah, okay, so this is already showing us where we are drawn in. Actually, that's fine from where it was down there. With this 1740 area, we've come up really high. It's really nice to see. We're at the all-time highs areas. Any sort of pullback at these points could be obviously quite, you know, could be quite horrific to see happen. We've got a couple of things to pay attention to in terms of this chart, you know, bearish divergence wise and whatever else, but we're still in the upward trend. What we can see here in terms of the divergence potential with regards to the MACD is two things at once in terms of this last chunk of time. We have, of course, a lower low in the MACD as we're putting in higher lows overall in this upward movement. That's giving you that hidden bullish divergence as we're coming in for the same time with hidden bearish divergence. And of course, it gives you that lovely, beautiful, confused picture, which you'd kind of want to see if we crack up above these areas. You know, it's a couple $100 up from where we are, but that's what we're looking for over the next couple of hours. You know, and then maybe perhaps we just go on and burn on past all these other sort of divergences, or it doesn't really matter, and we can check in with it on different time frames, because if we acknowledge over here on the weekly time frame, we're coming up and we're actually managing to come up to the point at which where if we push on throughout this week, we would be able to take out the burn off this potential for divergence here. We're coming in to eventually be able to do that and actually even put in a high. Counterintuitively, perhaps you might think then at that point a high, which can come in at any point lower down here, and we've really, successfully put in we put in a higher low, any point, down towards this big white smear, for instance, at 13k, and be satisfied that it's just a higher low along the way towards, even bigger and better things with regards to the big picture divergence. So that's nice to see in the face of course, looking down here at this low term time frame and saying, what do you, with regards to that one. What book? 10 points to anybody. 10 points, right, to anybody who can name the reference. I don't know if I want to give it to necessarily. Let's just see. Can anybody catch the reference there? I just dropped out when I said that little phrase there at the end. If anybody does get it, then that's cool. If not, 2 minutes time, I'll after I've caught up with the chat, I will give you the answer. So you've got a couple of seconds to try and get in there with that little quiz. Nice one. So back over to the chat here. Tony, right, well actually how far into this stream are we? I want to ask that question. We started about 22 minutes ago, so we're a bit ahead of schedule for everybody in terms of this chat. When we've arrived at chat box discussion already, whatever this is, into this stream. It's hard to tell. I'm going by this stream started 22 minutes ago bit here. So yeah, cool, excellent. Jumping back over to the chart so I don't have to look at my own ugly coupon and going down to the 5 minute time frame, because of course all eyes on whether or not we can be taking out this area over the next wee while in this stream. Now of course there are downside targets. This is obviously our first, this is Bitcoin. We're still on the CMEs. Rocky, what are you thinking? Let's just hide all the drawings here for just now and take a look in terms of just saying, here's our previous highs over there at 19,439 or so. Can we push past those points? If we do it, then maybe we burn off a bit of this divergence. As we can see in terms of the 5 minute time frame, let me just draw on this chart for a second. In that high period, we had sort of divergence coming in here. Now we've seen a little bit of a play off from that towards the downside. If we consider this to be our previous low, and we go ahead and just delete things with more or less ambivalence about what goes off the chart for just now, and draw in a Fibonacci retracement between those 2 points, then we can kind of assess things in terms of our small term levels for this chat during the stream, for some eyeball goodness to have on for us and for everybody that's looking at the charts now during this time frame. And you might have been able to guess that that was what the result was going to be as I drew in this Fibonacci retracement. I hope you did. Let me know in the comments as well if you did. And this was what we can see. So we're just above this green line, which is showing us the 236 at the minute. That's great. We can kind of look up towards the top side. Let's put on an imaginary trade as well for the YouTube gods out there. By the way, this is not financial advice, and for everybody watching, this is not financial advice. This is us just doing an imaginary trade here by putting in an example in terms of talking about what your risk to reward would be. So it's imaginary. I'm not actually trading this live, but what we could see if we wanted to have a sort of 5-to-1 risk to reward, let's leave this on the screen for just now. We're looking down towards the let me just zoom in a bit. Let's just talk about, this is obviously fairly arbitrary as well, and you're obviously free to choose your own levels and everything, and always do your own research before taking any trades. But you'll be looking down there at sort of that 19,200 area in terms of stopping out if you were to be just kind of trading off the back of this, and looking up towards taking your profits up here at this potential breaking up past this previous high zone, which we know would take us into that all-time high sort of question mark area. And this of course is looking against the trend of the 4-hour time frame, because we can see quite clearly in terms of the 4-hour time frame that we're coming in here with a good dose of divergence. And of course this is our two scary levels, but we're going to talk about this in a positive frame mindset right now. As I see this red candle kick in here right at that 236, so that's given us the sort of the imaginary trade entry then for us, and it was a limit order. How good is that? Jumping back over to the chat now, that's close enough to 30 minutes, and it's also a nice little section in terms of the looking at things. Also, suppose if we want to put in this framework around this bit of chat here, price action I should say instead of chat. Let's do so with whatchamacallem coming down just like this, really, and a whatchamacallem, a chopstick coming down just like this, and extending on down past that area, and kind of just asking the question and saying, if we come in down the way low and put in any movements in terms of, if this kind of goes down like this, lower overall, and comes down anywhere towards this white line as forming part of this movement overall. So suppose we could stick on another hypothetical trade here, by the way, just to keep things nice and crisp and even. Coming over to chat soon, people, by the way, just so you know, if you're joining us then please hit that like button. That would be quality, because a lot to be said for the interaction with the like button and all that good stuff with the YouTube gods. What am I looking for here? Number 5. It's so hard to see. 497. That's pretty good. So you could be looking like that. That's an imaginary trade set up for us now. You go in either direction on this one. Of course, if this was a descending, broadening wedge structure, and that's what it paid out to be in the end, of course, I know that there's plenty of other ways of looking at this. I'm just sneak peeking. You could have a sneak peek at that for other things, and of course that'll be what's visible on other time frames and such like. But we'll not get too carried away. But what we could be saying in terms of if this were to happen along those lines, and you got a movement back up towards this would be the previous high. That would be that movement in terms of this trade coming to the good side. Of course, it would be a much better trade if you happen to get in it lower and it came up towards those areas, hypothetically speaking. But then if you look here, then of course that's taking us up towards our previous high. That would be the measured move sort of area target for a descending broadening wedge as a continuation pattern at this point. Looking again at coming up there at that point to try for those all-time highs. Things working against us, I suppose, are the potential for sort of head and shoulders here on the 1 hour RSI, for instance. And that's pretty much it, because everything's looking rosy enough in terms of what you need, rosy enough. We have crossed over here the positive D. So I would like to have seen that gone towards the top side some more, but this is the structure that we're in, and of course that would be the resolution we'd be looking to. Going back over towards the chat then, how is everybody? How are you all keeping? Do you want me to light up my face a bit more? Ooh, is that too spooky? I don't know, that might be good. But of course it shines right in my gosh darn face, doesn't it? If I position my eyes just like that, then you can see my nose shadow and whatnot kind of covers up. So that works. Does that work for you guys? It works for me. Yeah. Right, yeah, cool. So, everybody, how you doing? Good evening, says Tony earlier on. I caught you just as you came into the chat. It's nice to see you yet again, my friend. Good to see you as well, Peter, here having the chat with that beanie tonight. Well, I'm not wearing the beanie. And we already stuck your 660 on the charts there during the Ethereum one. That's good to see. We can check in with how that's all progressing soon throughout the episode. Good to have you here, by the way. Zach, I gave you a shout out earlier on. I don't know if you caught me saying that. Z to the O to the CK. See, I have to say Z because I'm assuming that's how you're going to say it, because it's got that whole rapper vibe, And anyway, cool. 3,000 trin. I think everything has changed. My ETH target is 10k. Ha! Cool. ETH target 10k. Wow, wouldn't that be something? Trade spotting. How did you get to 10k? 5 years. 5 years to 10. 5 years to 10k. Okay. Whoa, hearts stop. Palpitations stopped happening. There, getting a bit carried away. K-Doc, good to have you in the house, my friend. Evening all, out for a kebab and missed the stream. No pot noodles on offer. Is that you, Kevin? Have you kind of shortened your name down? I suspect it is. Good to have you here, Kevin. Buddy, Kevin Docherty. It's good to have you back with us once again. Zoner, when 1k link? Exactly. When 1k link? I think by the next full moon, right? That probably makes about a good deal of sense. Hey, Rocky, says Gray, good to have you here, buddy. Nice to have you here and in the Discord as well, everybody. If you want to join the Discord, there's links down below. Links for all you could ask for. And one of the things that I've been talking about as well to people in the affiliates area of the Discord and whatnot is, of course, it's Black Friday. If you want to help support the channel by using the affiliate links for Amazon or whatever, go ahead and do so. They're in the description as well. I'm sure there'll be some great deals coming up this week, but one of the good deals that you might be interested in yourself is, of course, TradingView. There's an affiliate link there for TradingView. You can check it out. They've got a 60% sale on for Black Friday, and well, it's always a good time to re-up on your TradingView subscription. But I'm not shilling nothing The links are there if you want to use them. That's all good. That's all gravy. And I don't know why this cup here is full already. That really annoys me. If anybody knows, whoever it was, 3000 Trin, you said earlier on, where I want the volume level, maybe you know how to do other things in Streamlabs, like clear that alerts thing out. There's probably an easy way to do it, and I just don't know. But anyway, whatever. Sean, you're here. You can't believe you missed the chat. You'll have to rewatch it. Well, you know, the thing is, it's kind of like 5 minutes or less for each of the coins, starting with Tezos, moving on to Chainlink, moving on to Ethereum, and then moving on to Bitcoin. Got a few targets in there, a couple of hypothetical trades as well at the end talking about Bitcoin. You've not missed an awful lot because it's all about watching all this, I suppose, together. And as we can see, this 1 hour candle here is now starting to sort of lick the flames of temptation up here at this top end of this recently freshly drawn in. It's so fresh it still has that green tint of morning dew. The soda. And yeah, can we push past it? It's drawn in here with us with the siempre casual approach of the outcroptition, of course, with an acknowledgement that this is more of a zone, and therefore, as such, you know, we have this hypothetical trade which is still on, ladies and gents, and that's all working fairly well for us in terms of how things are looking now. If we did go up towards the top side, that would be a fulfillment of what you might expect if this was a broadening wedge. Now, this is a little bit generous to be saying, so let me be very clear. You only have, what, one touch past this point, really. I mean, you want to say that's a touch, and this is where it starts. I mean, that's how I drew it in kind of generously. Is what I'd say for that one. So there's plenty of other ways to be looking at this right now, and for instance, any sort of movements around here could push this into one form or another, and I think that most of those sorts of general movements are summed up by these Fibonacci's here for us. But what we can do, by the way, and welcome to the show, Spearmint Man. Welcome to the show, by the way, Sean. I don't actually know if I said welcome, but I'm pretty sure I did. I sorted the name out so I look less like a boomer, said K-Doc. Did it work or did it not work? I wonder. Maybe. I don't know. I reckon it probably did. And then we've got Spearmint Man. Do you think the Ethereum Bitcoin Q4 traditional annual pump, we're talking Christmas time stuff, Ethereum 2.0 is well in the mix there, is likely if Bitcoin doesn't retrace anytime soon? That's the question from Spearmint Man. That's cool. Feel free, everybody, of course, to answer in the comments. And yeah, we have 3000 Trin trying to help me out here. Let me just read the answer. Check the settings. I just know input from my old DJ days. We'll look into Streamlabs when I get more time. Yeah, but when do you see any drops? Even if it hits targets, will it stop? Oh, Rocky Outcrop, when will this drop stop? Old-time subscribers might remember that poem that was sent in to me, submitted by a viewer who may or may not have been me. Having a laugh. Anyway, by the way, let's just talk about this then. If we're going to be talking about something, and when Rocky Outcrop, when will the price drop, and when it does drop, when will that price drop stop? Yo, let's just bring up this wee little tidbit here. This is something that we were talking about in yesterday's live stream, and it's worth paying attention to how these things evolve. Now, of course, it's always too early to say, in the same way that it's too early for me to say right now that this looks amazing. It's too early for me to say it technically because of the anchor, you know, and every single time one of these prints in a new week, it's at the close of the week that this obviously becomes important. So we were talking about this yesterday and saying how the stochastics on the weekly does tend to catch the tops, looking at when they cross over. And of course we could change this a couple of ways over. You've got your stochastic K line here, and I use, just for fun, an exponential. I could put this back over to the D and see that it came in here and actually touched but didn't cross. And you know, with the exponential one here, and I know this isn't standard practice, I know it's not standard practice for folkies to be using their stochastics here with an exponential moving average rather than just the standard out of the box settings with the simple moving average of the K line, which is the E, or in my case, but normally the D. Then what you have here is that it's looking like this was giving us a better signal, which is kind of handy. You know, it's not crossed over yet, but when this does start, when could it stop? And we've seen big pullbacks before, right? So if we want to talk about this in terms of a broad term answer, then maybe a way to do that is to look at a couple of these drops we've had in the past. So I'm just going to bring the price action down a bit, hide all the drawings, they're not necessary for this chitter chatter, and we saw a crossover here that happened, and let's just kind of go between the high and the low, and we'll be nice and positive. What we're doing in today's episode, you might notice, of course, is being much more positive. We're going to be more positive about stuff because it's, you know, it's good, right? It's good to be positive about stuff. So we're looking then 14%. That's you know, not, and I want to frame, that's why I'm talking about positive in advance there, that 14% of course lines up, you know, with around about that 16,666 area, and if we saw a drop down, then maybe we might see that as a bounce area. Just first off, just taking this as our most recent example from looking at that particular point of view on that particular time frame. Now then, to revisit that question though, and give a maybe perhaps more satisfying that itch answer in terms of if we do see a drop here in this area on the 5-minute time frame, where could we see a drop stop? And there's a couple of things we could look to, one of which is the fulfillment of the golden pocket retrace on the Fibonacci, which comes in from this low I've circled over here. That right? Yes, that's right. Maybe it might benefit the viewer to have the one on there, Rocky, so there we go. So maybe, you know, if we drew one in looking down here back down to when the prices were 18,665, and drew in the Fibonacci up towards the highs that we've had here, and looking at this of course is the 5-minute time frame. This is not an unrealistic thing to look at over the duration of this dream, you know, in terms of this sort of really scratching that itchy nose, and then this would be your target down towards the downside, and that comes in at around about 18,950. So you might be looking at that sort of 19,000 area for a stop on a drop from down there, but we've also got this big gap that we can see down past that area. So how about we put in a couple of extended lines on here, you know, just a little bit further on down from where we were looking before. And if I just, actually that's kind of completely hidden it for you there, that's no use, is it? Maybe do I need to be a bit more zoomed in for this little bit of chit chat? I don't know. Is that better? I don't know. Then we're looking here at 786. The 618 just lines up with that other one, so I'll leave it off for now, and I'll stick the 886 on as well, so that we can look at those as potential, you know, turnaround points. And if you were looking at harmonics and stuff like that, you might find something in here with regards to these patterns and, you know, all sorts of different ways of looking at things with regards to what potential areas you want to see things turn around at. But just from a most simple point of view, I think it's probably best to look here at this sort of 19,000 area, 18,950 if we sort of go for a push past down this point. Now our imaginary trade is still on, and of course then if we're seeing this, and I'm trying to be positive here with this chat, because if we did have pushed on past that area just there, and it's still on, then of course we'd be looking up towards that as the potential sort of target. But if we were to be sort of looking down the way here, then we're kind of can just look at whether this area here functions as a resistance line towards the top side. And when we're looking at this trend overall, I suppose because we're in this upward movement, we want to be looking here at the lower sides and seeing about whether or not we take those areas out. So I think if having pushed on, you know, said this big movement, it'd be realistic in a way to look down towards this 382 at 19,150, just in terms of this next wee while for where the drop could stop, just in terms of how we've got this structure before running down the way. Let's be clear with regards to how I was saying earlier on, this could be very much differently formed wedge type scenario. And if it was one of these, this of course is a more bullish pattern in terms of statistics, and we're in a bullish trend, so that's decent to see. And of course in terms of the bullish psychology, you want to be looking at these areas for support and saying we want them to hold, of course. And then we've got as well to match up with this downwards sloping lower area of a potential wedge discussion point. We have this point here comes in just where we're looking at between these two lows. Then we have this sort of upward movement with regards to this RSI trend line. So we've come down towards the lower side of it already. maybe we just kind of, come back up. This trade is still on, like we said. Imaginary trade actually just got stopped out. But there you go. Maybe then for imaginary trade land, there you go. There's imaginary trade land on the go. But that's what people do when this has failed, right? That's what people do. We're actually looking down here towards this target now, I suppose, at 19,150, if we're talking about anything for the next 10 minutes, I suppose. I'm going to catch up with the chat here and see. So we didn't really discuss that point. I didn't. I just waited to see if the chat would. What that Spearmint man brought up. Do you think that the Ethereum Bitcoin Q4 traditional annual pump, looking in towards that Christmas time one for everybody who doesn't want to speak the jargon, at Ethereum 2.0, with that in the mix there, will that happen anytime soon? Is it likely to see, if BTC doesn't retrace anytime soon, what do I think the annual pump will take us up to, and is it still likely? I suppose. I'm adding the whole what do you think it'll take us up to thing myself, but we can check that out in a bit. Peter Hewer said 660 on the Ethereum price, but you specifically talk about the Ethereum Bitcoin pairing. So we'll take a look at that in a bit, and I haven't looked at that so far in the chart. So let's put that up in the background actually for this, just for 5 minutes as I read through the chart. And we have things drawn in just from before. Can make this line up a bit better. Give me a second. Tried to do it in the 24-hour chart previously, but it didn't seem to have lined up. No, where's the top point? Anyway, whatever, leave it. So yeah, we've got a few things on here anyway in regards to this. So up above us we're looking towards that 31.94, and down below us we're looking down towards 289 or 29.89. The last video, the static video that I put out, actually is still totally relevant to what we're looking at with regards to that price action. If you want to see things just from a broader point of view real quick right now, since we are talking about it from a longer term angle, is the pump still likely with regards to this? Well, we had that head and shoulders, it played out fully, we came down towards these areas, put in a bit of the old bullish divergence, looking up the way, had a bit of a healthier retrace again, that we needed to have so far, which hasn't turned into a bearish engulfing candle. But if we did see one, overall we've got an area to look to in terms of higher lows and whatnot. We fulfilled a lot of what we needed to see recently, and we've got an easy target to look up to in terms of 39, and that would be really, really nice. And then if we wanted to look towards then higher targets thereafter, then we're talking quite a distance between, because if we look at where the current prices are, we're in around about this sort of inflection point. The only thing really kind of above us in terms of a big chunk is that area. What do I want here? A box? I think I want a box. Is this area here, and we're staring that in the face. So we could go on up the way, couple of targets towards the top side, I suppose, with regards to these Fibonacci areas, which you can't see because they're behind the chat box. So I should position them over to the left. Sorry, or center, maybe, whatever. So your 618 there's your 50 essentially. 1618 could be the sort of nice upward side target if we're able to take out this zone here. The zone being sort of between 42. Let's call it 420 blaze it area, and 360 if you like for a complete turnaround area. There we go, nice numbers for you to be able to remember them easily enough. Cool, checking in with the chat again, nice one. So 3000 Trin was saying check the settings. Oh, I read that, thanks for your tip by the way, buddy. Crypto Love was saying 22,500 as a top yesterday. Boom shakalaka. Well, or boom shakalaka, sorry. Yeah, cool, that's the potential. We could take a look at that as well. But who knows? Well, I mean, there's plenty of tops that we've discussed in recent times. The fact is that we've come up towards them. Like that's where we are, right? Let's bring up one of these charts from before. Like, yeah, okay, look, that one I had on a second ago. Where is it? Cheapers. So yeah, we've talked about these things in the past. For instance, up here towards 20,500 as being a next nice area to look to off the back of this pattern. It depends on how greedy you want to be. Of course, remembering that $2,000 move between 20 and 22,000 is of course 10%, and it's at this point that I think it's probably good to remind people that in the trading game, if you're talking about 10% and more, then you should always be super happy with anything that you're doing at any given time, really. And that's kind of how maybe we could start to look at things. Maybe as well, if you want to see things on a logarithmic scale, just so you can remember in terms of where we are now and the excitement. Just let me hide all this. the excitement that we're seeing here in terms of these moves over recent days isn't actually in terms of sheer percentage-wise profit bigger than the moves that we've seen in the past. And this is going towards the top side with a degree of bearish divergence. So there is a lot of excitement to be had up here, pushing in up again towards 22,500. Totally feasible and on the cards. I mean, it's nothing less than we've seen. It takes out our target for the measured move. I mean, is that the full measured move? I've got this in right? Yeah, see, because it's funny on logarithmic the way it stretches, but it's way cooler, so that's always good. Takes us up towards whatever, so we could be looking up towards any of those areas. But of course, we could also see a pullback happen. We don't need to be greedy is kind of the point that I'm trying to underline there, and 10% is always pretty good. Bear in mind that 10% moves down the way are very much feasible. And when we talk about candles, then it's kind of on a logarithmic chart that you start to see the pain that, of course, when market's moving against you, if you get too carried away at any given time, causes. When you see the gouging effect that the red candles have really quite clearly here, looking at it from a logarithmic perspective, so like all that hard work, all that gouge, then huge hard work gouged out, huge hard work gouged out, huge hard work gouged out. So these things can happen, and they can happen also fairly rapidly when they do happen. So I'd also say, word to the wise with regards to not being greedy. You greedy so-and-so. Okay, so back in the chat again, see how everybody's getting on. I think there's many sellers, people chatting about things. It's good to see people chatting amongst themselves about that chit-chat with the Q4 pump, and I wonder, that's cool. As soon as I start thinking about what car I can buy with 50,000 Bitcoin dumps 30%, yeah, so exactly, that's a good one. So if that's going to be your sort of your reminder to self, memo to self, avoid thinking about cars you can buy for 50,000 Bitcoin price and all the rest of it. I take that imaginary trade from the bottom of the wedge and short from the top. Right, okay, cool. So like we've got some chit chat with regards to the imaginary trades that we had on the go. Oh, what chart was it that I put them on? Over here. Well, it looks more like the short was the better trade so far. Anyway, yeah, so let's be real about things. We've got this in a position where, of course, we could do it and trade it all the way down here towards the bottom and long it all the way back up again or whatever. But if you were to be talking about this in terms of like from this point onwards, a 5-to-1 type move, then let's kind of go micro on it, and I'll just bring the charts down to the 1 minute, just stick it in the background just for the crack, and stick it in as a 5-to-1 right now as we chit chat about things. And put this target in about here. And get your chitter chatter in. So if we look down towards the lower end of this wedge, let's be generous with it and give ourselves 5-to-1. 5-to-1. There we go. There's our recurrent imaginary trade there for the S and giggles. The sillies and giggles. There we go for the sillies and giggles. Are we going to get stopped out immediately? I think we maybe will on this one, but this is just for the sillies and giggles in the background of the chart. Chitty chat, chit chat. Now let's see what's been going on over there. And Spearmint Man, you need to stick to the bus. It reaches 350. Yeah, okay. Until it reaches 350. If you aren't trading up and down right now, is prob just better to hold? Lol says. Now anything? Yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of demonstrated with in a sense with my whoa tight stop loss there on that one. Whoa, really, sailing close to the wind there with that. Oh, and we're dead. Yeah, anyway, that was just for the crack. So Exponential looks like a rocket ship. It sure does. And Ripple has also been doing really well. So we take a wee dive over towards the stellar Ripple luminescent charts there and see how those things are both looking maybe at the same sort of a time. We've got What in the World is coming along to say here. And by the way, welcome to the channel, What in the World. Thanks so much for joining. Really do appreciate everybody who hits that like button, by the way. If we can get however many likes on this episode, I mean, what are we thinking? Can we get to, does anybody know what the current likes are? Can they tell me? Stick the current likes in the chat. Let's see if we've got enough people to try and bring it up a level. What's a good target to have? Somebody suggest a target. Let's see what's a realistic target for the stream, and we'll have a wee laugh about it. See if we get there. So what in the world? Thanks so much for joining us. I hope you subscribe and all the rest of it. XM looks like a rocket ship, and we'll take a look at that in a wee bitty, of course. The daily pivot points are R2, 19,699, R3, resistance 3, 20,888 above the price action now. Let's just jump on back over to the price action on the 24-hour chart here and discuss that for a second and stick them pivot points on. These are perhaps the same ones that Peter was looking at. Let me just drag it in a bit and see if it's lining up for us. We've got 19,645, we've got 20 sort of 8 something in there, and let me just see what you said again. So perfect, yep, that's what we're looking at, that's right, and of course it is above the price action just now. This is a couple of decent targets to have in mind for the current upward side, and if we're looking then at managing it from a management of our risk perspective, that comes in there at 17,739 for that pivot area on there. If we bring up the price, the muck, the schema of noise that we had on the charts earlier on, well then you know the Fibonacci that we're looking at currently, and kind of messing around with that on this 5-minute time frame and everything else. In terms of the 24-hour time frame, we can see that the 2.24 Fibonacci retracement point lines up perfectly with that 17,747 pivot area should we want to go and investigate our shoelaces there with regards to that, you know. Anyway, cool. Sunny boy, nice to see you. Good to have you here with us. Thank you so much for joining us. It's great to have you. Everybody hit that likes. 18 likes, says Navanethan. Wow, brilliant. Fantastic. That's cool that we're on 18 so far, says TradeSpotting as well. What's a decent target to have? 35 likes says would be good progress. Will be great to see you get 100 likes on live video. Yeah, it will be. It will be great to see that at one point. 35 would be good progress. Let's say 35 then, as I have a wee drink of my water. That's right, that's called water here in Scotland. My water. I could speak like that if you prefer. Let me know, are you wanting an RP accent, or indeed I'm traveling the world, or you have also got as well, I joke about this from time to time, Scottish people might like it as well, that whole hello, I'm Scottish and I'm on television accent, which you might recognise. Let me know, do you want me to speak in a I'm Scottish and I'm on television accent? It's the type of accent you might get if you randomly pull out a camera and start trying to film people on the street here, as they tend to know that they would not be understood well if they were being broadcasted over the world, as I am right now. So let me know where you're from as well. Patrick Pellegrino, Pellegrino being the Spanish word for dangerous. Good to have you on board, my friend, with your piratey sounding name. Good stuff. It's nice to have you. A Scut. You're a Scut. Is that a Scottish person? I wonder. I thought you would only drink whiskey in Scotland. Yeah, we do. It's just that whiskey here, this whiskey is see-through whiskey, because whiskey only actually changes its colour once you cure it in the cask for quite a while. What they do is they use old brandy barrels, sherry barrels, right? And that's the cool thing about Tennessee whiskey as well, if you actually like a bourbon-esque drink like that, because they use the charred out ones from something else, whatever it is, brandy or something. Anyway, yeah, it goes in white, that's what this is, and it comes out our taps in Scotland. I had a shower in it earlier on. Oh, it was so nice. Easy to slip in the shower though, when it is, of course, raw whiskey coming at you. Nice one. Cool. Patrick Pellegrino, nice to know. Yeah, bullish, he says. Bullish. Yeah, great to have the bullish bulls in the house. Who let the bulls out as well? That was a good question from yesterday's sort of donator username aspect of things. Stick this back on auto here so it's a nice little view of us of the screen. I mean, I think that it's fun to take these imaginary trades here on the live stream with you, but there's a good reason why they're imaginary compared to just managing it sort of sensibly and that in and around about these areas. As you can see quite clearly in terms of this one that we had, that you'd really be looking for it to be had an entry point at that green horizontal line, just where we had that one have its entry point as well in terms of the downward side imaginary trade. And you can see if you hover over these things when you're doing them, which is good laugh for the live episodes, how far it's in profit. Currently $19.21 in profit on that one. So, you know, if you're going to be doing this sort of crazy stuff, don't be so mental as to always just go in at the price that it happens to be. You can see that the TA at least bears some resemblance with sense, with reality or whatever. I don't know. I mean, I'm hoping to see this kind of snap up above this and us go all bullish in the stream. Cool, we've got new names in the house. Nick Osberg, good to have you there with a name like that. I got to wonder where you're from as well. Let us know where you're from. Everybody let us know where you're from as well. And all that. K-Doc says, us Ouija's call that the Edinburgh accent. Aye, exactly, aye, the Edinburgh accent. But if you catch a Ouija talking like that, you know it's because somebody started filming them. Less so perhaps these days with us embracing the local accents, right? I don't know. I mean, you get some funny accents on local BBC ones. I like the Doric accent myself. If you're gonna choose an accent from Scotland that's a good one to take abroad with you, then I would choose the Doric one. But I suppose I'm pretty lucky I've got that one. It's good going to America and calling everyone brother, just like Desmond from Lost. Do you ever do that? Let me know in the comments if you do. I enjoy that. Tracepot says see-through Scotch is 0.5 malt, best of the best. Yes, okay, great. Kentucky is bourbon. That's right, because Tennessee is just whiskey. That's why I said bourbon-esque. Bourbon-esque. I got in there with that. I don't want to step on any American whiskey aficionados' toes there with that, of course. But you are right. It is just another form of whiskey with an E in it. What we drink around here doesn't even have an E in it. We're just straight up W. Well, we're just, you know. Anyway, Nick Osberg, watch you all the time. Great videos. I'd like to hear your take on XRP. Oh, that's cool. That's also been suggested by somebody else. And Stellar. So we're going to take a jump over there in a minute. It was just kind of fun to have sort of 5 minutes or 10 minutes of chit chat with this in the background, and all that. So great to know that you're on board already and you've hit that subscribe button. To anybody else that's just joining us, by the way, hit that subscribe button. We'd really appreciate it, and the like button and all that. See if we can get this to be the most fun, interactive, live stream for Bitcoin in the world. I think we can do it, ladies and gents. I think we can do it. Sunnyboy says, Tezos seems like the best buy out there, wouldn't you say? Long buy. You know, one of the things about Tezos is that I think it's a project that's got potential, and I like the way that it's decoupled from the Bitcoin price. I mean, it's obviously priced against Bitcoin, and you can see there's distinct trends there. But I like the way that it's not so hand in hand, marching with the rest of the band, and it's good to have that, And if you're talking about a good buy at the minute, then I think that when you're talking to the rest of the wider community, I would kind of err on the side of agreeing with you, because you're talking about portfolio management in a sense, and when you look over towards charts like, and by the way, isn't that kind of fun looking at that? It is fun, isn't it? I think it's fun. Let me know if you think that's fun. If you're looking over at the Tezos, the Bitcoin charts, you can see that we've had this kind of turnaround recently. Of course, this is the 5-minute chart. Let me just go up towards the 24-hour chart here. You can see we've had this turnaround recently. Now, of course, we're seeing this pullback. It's come back down towards this resistance pivot area, bringing up the oscillators down below. We can see that we had huge divergence coming in here. Lovely potential for a turnaround, which was then fulfilled with support coming in at that 236 in there at 1369. So if you're talking about value versus Bitcoin in terms of a good buy at the minute, then sure. And in your honor, let me just check who it was that said that, by the way. Was that Nick? Was that you, Nick, that said that? Who was it that said it? Who said it? No, it was Sunny Boy. Sunny Boy. We're going to put a little bit of interactive. This is an interactive live show, right, everybody? Be sure to hit like and subscribe and all that good stuff. And what we're doing in this one at the minute is you're free to suggest stuff that we'll put on the targets on the chart here. Sunny Boy's target, Sunny Boy's trade. Sunny Boy's trade is saying that this is the best trade in the market at the minute. So we say this is the best trade at the M. I'll give you a wee cool on there to make it surely obvious that it was you that said it, not me, because this is not financial advice at all. This is in fact just me as your spirit guide looking at the charts together. I'm not a financial advisor, none of this is financial nor tax advice or anything else of that nature. What do we want to put on here then? A long position, best buy at the minute, just sticking it on here and talking about just what do we want to look at, just in terms of our previous lows down there and going past them. We'll leave that. Let's drag this up to get 5 to 1 and think about what that could mean in terms of Bitcoin pricing for the Sunny Boys trade. Now maybe this is somewhat exaggerated from what you were maybe intending when you said that, Sunny Boy, in the chat, but you're stuck with it now, and this is you. If this goes down in history as being the best trade ever, then that's cool. You did it, and there we go. Nice one. So our target on Sunny Boy's trade is all the way up there at 25,000 satoshis per XTZ, as we say per TES, and then our stopping out target is back down there if we go into the doldrums of that 12k area. Again, of course, we were so short-lived in the grand scheme of things when we were down there at that price point, you know. But if I just go back to the 1 hour time frame, you can see that it was stressful enough coming in with these lows that looked like, you know, that we were going to maybe get a turnaround with the bullish divergence, failing to take out our previous highs, not managing to successfully stay above the 236, moving back down the way. And to put this price action then into context, and what we've got here with regards to Sunny Boy's trade is, of course, that we are above that 236 at the minute, having just recently recaptured that in the last number of hours. So if we can move towards the top side, there are easy targets along the way towards that 5 to 1 effort towards the top side, but you're looking here, for instance, at the golden pocket coming in there at 17k, and that is a really nice and tasty trade that you could manage your risk on fairly easily, just using some of these risk management targets there, for instance, for us, you know. But we can see the significance of the area that we're at the minute with regards to the Fibonacci retracement that I've already had drawn on the charts there, and this is, of course, important for us. So it's good that, you know. I also did promise people from the chat that we would take a look at XRP. By the way, I'm going to just run this in the traditional way, of course. You know, if you want me to take a look at a coin much more rapido, and, you know, not sit there and enjoy the chat and interact with the community, then stick in a super chat or use the donation buttons and leave a comment, of course, along with your donation and your username and all that, which are in the description down below, and I'll get right on it. But otherwise, we're just here to enjoy each other's company for just now, and, well, let's just do that, right? Got this high coming in here on the 1 hour time frame over there, and it looked like it managed to do it without any divergence over its last 3 highs on this push towards the top side, which is nice to see. This is, of course, XRP versus BTC, and over the longer term, looking back the way, we can see that we've actually done pretty well, pushed on up past the 1618. In fact, that's really excellent for this one. Let's see if we can sustain that 3500 area with regards to Bitcoin, or, you know, the Bitcoin pairing with this one. But everybody wants to see the XRP place to be. I mean, we've exceeded all targets, I think, really realistically, in terms of just what the technicals alone were kind of bringing us to with regards to XRP recently. And I think that's probably a good way to frame the context of this rise up. If we were to take, for instance, now this chart that I'm looking at is the BitMEX chart, you know, since it started trading over there. So I realize there's a whole ton of history gone, but if we talk about this as being a decent enough zone to kind of draw a comparison against, then we can do that going from those highs down to those lows and checking in and seeing that we've actually come up here above the 2618 Fibonacci retracement, and there are targets towards the top side that remain in place if we're going to be all super parabolic, super fragilistic, expialidocious about things over here. And I suppose XRP Army would maybe want that to be the case. Looking at this, there's this sort of a little bit of a sort of potential here for a question to be asked, you know, with regards to this RSI. Maybe we'll reinvestigate that in the lower time frames, but we're also right on the very cusp of pushing on past that and past, of course, all of our previous areas in terms of this chart and its existence, without any divergence on the go really at all, making this thing suddenly go from being one of the sort of laughingstock type coins over towards being pretty decent. If I just hide the drawings here, looking at this in the 24-hour time frame, nobody take offense at me saying laughingstock in terms of any of that, but what you can see here is that we had this high, then the lows, then these subsequent highs coming in there in August 2020, where it then dropped down the way, and it didn't really move up with the rest of the market for the long time. Of course, there was good percentage gains to be made here, quite a lot. By the way, welcome to the chat. Demo, is that Demo that we're going to go with there for that? I think it will be. And of course, welcome to the chat to Marcin Hibner. Marcin Hibner. I'm going to definitely must be saying your name wrong. I wonder if that's French and it's like Marcin. Let me know. And of course, welcome to Susan, and I'll get around to reading your chat in a wee bit. But this was of course looking like it could have been, you know, kind of rank hidden bullish, or sorry, just bearish dive. Was it higher? No, it wasn't higher. So then we went up higher here. So it was looking like, you know, if this were to trend down the way, that this would have been kind of rank set up for movements down past this point, but it never actually came to fruition. It did find its feet and got some really good moves back towards the top side after having had that RSI head and shoulders and everything else in there, and on the stochastics and whatever else. And then we can see as well, if we just bring up the full screen on the DMI, looking at this one, how this was in such a degree of, you know, choppy chop land. Bear in mind, this is the 24-hour time frame, so this is no mean feat to spend so long down here in this extreme volatility area in pure chop, doing nothing as the market kind of decided what it wanted to see happen, and then wadoosh off towards the top side. And we're looking at stuff we've never really seen before with regards to the DMI up there. And if I just go back in time and to a broader term perspective, we can see comparison points to be made, and it's worth pointing them out, I suppose. If we look at the high that came in here, this was a high when we saw a pullback, and it happened fairly suddenly, and we see this happening on the DMI, as we saw as well a turnaround in the stochastics and the RSI. So let's just bear that in mind with regards to then what I was talking about, insinuating, if you will, with regards to this sort of little bit of a shapey-wapey here on the go with the thing. Now, what I want to see happen, of course, is this go towards the top side and just keep on going forever. There will be pullbacks. What I want to see then, if there are pullbacks, is more of the same of this, and an ability to stay, you know, continually trending, you know, in the face of difficulties which are surely going to come across soon enough. Or, you know, perhaps we're looking at that turnaround. If we see a turnaround happen on that one and the other ones all at once, then let's look and see in terms of movements back the way for any sort of quick sudden retraces. And you'll see with regards to these times when this has happened in the past as well, then you're looking at sort of a 50% retrace from a, let me not be mistook, not in terms of the current price down to zero, but in terms of like movements down past these Fibonacci retracement areas. And if we were to do something of a similar note, then perhaps you could be looking up towards just taking it from the previous low that we had over here and looking down towards that 42-cent area. Now that would be fair enough to look to, but actually, you know, we still can continue to look towards the top side because we have these other targets in store, and they actually start there at 91 cents and 137 cents, $1.37 in terms of our bigger targets. And where they come from is that broader term perspective. So we've really worked our way up the charts here with regards to XRP. I hope you can see that that is the case, and that we'll look back down towards the low time frames again to kind of put this into perspective in terms of what we can look at in the here and now. But we can see that there is this Fibonacci extension points that we were looking at before that go on beyond even the sort of the previous inflection point over here at that 90 cents level, which we, if we take out, could, you know, see us moving on up towards 137, in which case, you know, you get the opportunity to ride trends in ways which we didn't necessarily see before. Now, this is reminiscent, this price action we're seeing at the minute is somewhat reminiscent of this type of thing over here and over here, and that's the question that we're really asking in a way. Now, I'm not talking about fractals, but I'm just talking about this from a psychological point of view in terms of having made movements towards the top side, and the importance, therefore, of bearing in mind what sort of pullback we end up getting, and then the sort of the A, B, and C of any pullbacks at any given point. Thanks so much, by the way, to everybody continuing to comment in the boxes, and I will go back over to looking at that. If you're just joining me, we're taking a look at XRP at the minute. This is, of course, live crypto technical analysis community here of Rocky Outcropticians, and if you're just joining us for the first time, hit that subscribe button. It'd be great to have people join the community and make it, you know, more the merrier and all that. So yeah, so we need to be aware of how things could turn around if they did turn around, blah, da, 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 blah, da. But this is like this movement up the way, and we saw a pullback down the way to here, and if we kind of just eyeball it really for now, because we don't, and we can ignore this sort of erroneous candle here and just look at the pullbacks. You know, we never really broke down past the 236 until such times as we did, and then it was a big change in circumstances for the trend at that time. So just like taking it from 15 cents up to these highs. Well, then there, you know, we never really broke the 236, as you can see, and then we went up, and it was when we broke the 236 that we see that movement towards the downside. So we can easily do the same sort of conceptual basis here, taking it from this low up towards this high instead, and talking about where we don't want to see the prices breaking down below from a broader point of view, and that comes in there at comes in there at the it comes in there at 61 cents. So, you know, just to keep this beat going, we don't want to see any, you know, big closes here below 61 cents now that we've come to this point. So, you know, that's fairly extended. Yes, it is. Of course, there's a big risk of downside targets. Huge bullishness to be had here, and that's reflected in its big competitor XLM. I'm not 100% sure if I got it on the favorites list over there on the right, so I'm just going to bring up whatever. What do we want here? Let's just go with Coinbase for now. I'm coming back over to the chat in a couple of minutes, by the way, so continue to fire in comments on all that. And let me then just say where we are with regards to this thing. Same story, right? I mean, it's the same story, okay? Big movement towards the top side. Very, very, very nice. Very happy about what I'm seeing here overall. Easy targets towards downside in terms of easy retracement points at any given time. But in terms of staying bullish on this, it's not hard to do. Really for people, but we need to just bear in mind where we've come up to so far. So high already. We want to see these resistance points flip and become support, as you can see in terms of this 24-hour time frame with regards to the pivot and resistance and support points here on this chart, and it's quite clear. You know, you've got a few of them coming all the way down towards the 236 there, breaking down past that brings you in towards the 50 or the 382, and then they've got your 50% coming in just below the next area, with any support being in around about not breaking past that 618. And if we did go down, you're looking at 8 cents, which of course is a horrific drop down in price action. So we don't want to see that happen, but we're looking pretty good overall, and we've done pretty good things, and you know, similar aspects with regards to the potential for divergences and whatnot. You know, we had this higher high that came in back in August 2020 that was bearishly divergent. Things weren't looking that great. We trended towards the downside. What actually didn't happen in this chunk of time was taking out the previous lows that we've seen across the board in the crypto industry. Really came along for a sideways consolidation, got towards crazy town, and we blasted the F off. Cool, nice one. Bring myself back over towards the chat here. I'll leave this then in terms of just having a wee look-see at the current prices on the 5-minute time frame. Bring up full. We'll bring up full screen. Do you want to leave things on there visible, like the divergence that we have here on the 5-minute time frame? Do I leave this visible for people just for a wee bit while we do chat? So there's that idea. It's a bit much, but there it is. We've got some just here as well. Like, let's just kind of leave that up there for a wee bitty. Then as we zoom on in a bit, so we can see our sort of current areas, and these are the two, and those price points, by the way, are 19.9, so let's just call it 20 cents, and then down here is 17.7 cents. Right, cool. Jumping into the chat, I want to see how all of you are getting along. I have to scroll back up a wee bit, which is pretty cool. So yeah, I got Susan Rodinger giving me a shout back saying Rocky. We've got Scotty Sniper in the house, thanks so much. Harpin Handsome, how you keeping? Great to see you, pal. I'm doing well. Hope you're doing fan-dabby-dozy out there. I'm just scrolling back up so I can kind of get to see. Yes, you taught me so much. Please look at XRP. Well, there you go, Nick. I did it in the end for you. Let me know where you're from. If you have already, then I apologize for not reading that comment. I'll read back through the comments, by the way, after I publish this video, so nobody's comment will be missed at all. If you want me to see what you're saying and you want to give me a shout out or any of that sort of stuff and say cheers for what you're doing or any of that, that's awesome. I'll definitely read it. It's just a case of, you know, the live stream thing, and you're spinning plates here at any given time. So great, Spearmint Man for tech. I love ADA. So yeah, you know, you got that whole crypto university PhD peer-reviewed aspect of things. I like that aspect about Cardano as well. I wonder if it'll be superseded by, you know, the sort of the alternative education world that we're living in nowadays, with the sort of open source thing. Is it even the right decision to go to uni anymore? I don't know, ask the guy with the master's degree. Anyway, whatever. Is the CH, that's like Charles Hoskinson or whatever, is awesome and is Ask Me Anything, but price dumps a lot. Do you long-term bag for projects you truly believe, or do you focus primarily on making money? Focus primarily on making money, my buddy, Spearmint Man. That's trading for me. But of course there are some long-term projects, but I discussed this in yesterday's episode. It'll become known well enough that other people will be able to kind of inform you during the chit-chat that I don't like to be to lead. I don't want to be on the vanguard of anybody else's sort of bag-holding decisions, you know. So I don't do that whole sharing my portfolio thing that you see other people doing. So that's but you know, do I do it? I do it. Yeah, I do. And do I think about it in terms of like, this is a long-term bag hold? I mean, not necessarily. It'd probably be a wee bit more sophisticated even than just that, and look at it from a point of view of where you could sort of scale in and out of things at certain times and leave orders on order books and stuff like that if I'm keeping those coins on an exchange, for instance, or you know, kind of regularly check back in with any sort of cold storagey thing and assess what I'm thinking about it, rather than just sort of set it and forget it. If you're interested in the sort of the fundamental aspect of things and all that sort of stuff, I suppose somebody's YouTube channel that I could give a shout out to would be that Benjamin Cowan guy. We know that there's some people who think that he's quite great, and I've seen a couple of things that he does and he's interesting, and he talks about things from a sort of far broader term perspective as well, like that. And yeah, and he's happy to share his portfolio with people. I think if you pay him, I'm not sure about the money aspect of things. I think you have to pay to find it out, but I'm not particularly inclined to go that direction myself. Zoner says price could go up, down, or sideways. Not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. Yeah, there you go. That's true. Hit the like button, people, says Susan. Yeah, thanks so much to everybody who's hitting that like button. Let's see if we can get it. It was at 18 the last time we checked. Somebody give me a shout out. See if we got any more, if anybody else decided to do it. The short is working well, closed 75% of it in his imagination. It says trade spotting. That's cool to know. Let's dive back on over to these Bitcoin charts and bring it up so we can see it going. Oh, what happened with that then? Hello, chartsticles, my friends. So I think, does anybody want to give me an assessment of whether or not they've kind of garnered anything of any use whatsoever from this episode so far with regards to the chit chat that we had around this area? I think that there were some good takeaways to be had in it at the end of the day. Had you gone for that trade down to the bottom end of the wedge, then you're looking down there at a nice risk to reward trade there of 7 to 1 risk to reward ratio on that move. That's lovely. Well done to Trade Spotting's imagination. I wonder if that trade was in inverted commas imagination, or you know, real imagination, or whatever. As we can see in the channel here, though, like I said already, you know, expressed in that I don't actually do the sort of trading on live screen thing. I think that's kind of immoral. It definitely doesn't fit my ethics anyway. So cool. Says, hey peeps, it's Spidey. Oh, that's who you are. Nice to have you here, man. It's good to see you. Demo, good, nice one. Spidey, all the way from San Francisco. XRP fully diluted market cap at $1. $100 billion Lamau. Yeah, well, we did look at XRP there. What did we think? 91 cents was a level. That's one of them, and then you're looking at from there to 130. $1 itself, I think, is going to have a massive psychological impact if we ever see those sorts of prices. Good thing to temper our remembrancings as well with is, of course, that quick brief look back that we did at the prices back in the daisies with regards to, say, stick on the 3-day time frame and take a look over to the left and hide the drawings so that you can see, of course, worth this price line coming in, that this is still an area, you know, we shot right up here like rockets, you know, and all that, but we have had, the prices have been here in the past and thinking about things here, you know, so of course we can remember the sort of, we've got things like this top here in there at that $1 area. I wouldn't go catching knives in the market that we're in at the minute, though, really, overall, or not trying to catch knives, you know, not setting out to catch knives. Much better to do things the way that Trade Spotting did there with regards to, you know, taking 75% off the table, stuff like that, and kind of being a bit more flexible. Adaptability is going to be, and always will be, and always has been, key. Oh wow, look at that, bing bong. That's a bit of fun for people as well who happen to look at those numbers we were talking about. Do we want to stick an imaginary trade on there? Is anybody actually trading this right now? You know, are you trading it? I suppose people will be doing it from a sort of hodl type aspect. Where would you be though if you'd put a sort of order in? Now it's always recommended to do orders, of course. Now I'm not a financial advisor, so by recommended, what I mean is just if you were to read any textbook about trading, that was a good one, and whatever, they would probably recommend that you do technical analysis and you choose a level to get in and out of trades at, and rather than sort of just getting in where the market happens to be at any time and hitting that go long, go short button. Although the temptation is there, especially with things like MetaTrader, where you're going to have this button at the top saying, go short. You can just hit it and, well, it's happened. Which is always fun, but not the wise way to trade. And you'd obviously be taking it from levels, in which case, the current profit price on a trade like that, had you just been sort of patient about it, is up there at 3.8. And if you were to just say screw the nail on that one and ditch it, you're looking at a 4% profit towards the top side. The risk reward ratio 2.4 to 1. I mean, it's not the best in the world. You're certainly not going to go bust, and you're happy enough to have done, and that was just an easy move during the duration of this trading session that we're having here. So that's what we're doing here. I hope that you actually, take these things away and run with them. Marsan Hibne, I don't know how you say your name. As for the amount of coins and being used, mined in miners as providers versus buyers and low price with about the same capped amount, it's Zcash Rocket now, and it'll get a lot more exposure to the people. Wonder about that. Any of you fine folk mining Pi? Oh, I wonder, are you all mining Pi? If you want to mine Pi, you'll find my Pi thing wherever the heck it is. Where's Pi at? I'll stick it in the description of the video. Where is it in this Discord? Are you all members of the Discord? Let me know if you're members of the Discord. Maybe it's down here in this Pi thingy here. I don't know. Anyway, my username on it's Rocky Outcrop, all one word, pretty sure. I could check that at some point. You can sign up, just use the username Rocky Outcrop as your referral code. You need one. It's a bit of a laugh, the old Pi. The old Pi is a good old laugh. Jumping back over to the charts though here, because of course you don't want to be looking at crap like affiliate links. There's the one for Ledger though. Be sure to click it if you're going to buy a Ledger. By the way, they're doing an offer at the minute, 40% off if you're going to go into that cold storage world. Cool, so nice one. What other sort of chat have we got here? We're looking at BTC tested 19k and bounced nicely just now, says Spidey Monkey demo. Cool, nice one. Let's just check in with us. Oh, of course, this was this move. Looking over here at where you could have stopped out from had you been looking down towards this as a broadening wedge. Now, of course, we talk about this all the time. Draw them in casually. Could have been anywhere. Looking down towards this area, and of course, as well, I've been talking about this as being sort of casually just put on the 618 not being on the chart. But what you can see here is if you had lined this up with the 618 and you thought to yourself, I'm going to long this from the 618, then of course you're sitting pretty at the minute. And had you not been greedy, now these were imaginary trades that we talked about, and instead gone for the 618 there on that one, then of course you're looking at a profit decent, so nice to see having happened that, isn't it? Anyway, yeah, let me know if you're getting value out of this. By the way, you can also let me know if you're getting value out of this by hitting the subscribe button. If you're not a subscriber, that'd be cool. Hit the like button. And nearly 30 likes already. Amazing. That was amazing. Are we above 30 likes yet? Let me know. Surely there's a way of me seeing how many likes we've got. That may be something to check out at some point. BTC short, says 3,000 Trin. Well, no, look, this was imaginary trades that we're talking about from the perspective of what then ultimately ended up happening in the charts, as opposed to the broad term perspective on things. We did have a potential long on there. It failed, and then we kind of flip-flopped it, stopped reversal, went for an imaginary downward one. So that's what we were doing there, if that's what you're referring to with that question there, by the way. Marsan, you love your Zcash by the sounds of things, so there we go. That's cool to know. Peer here and TradeSpawn conversating there. That's nice to see. Had I been in XRP, I'd have closed it at 90 and not looked at it again. Fair enough. And that would have been well good. Kevin saying, you know what I'd like to know about that I've not heard in ages? Zcash. Yeah, apparently I've heard. I don't know. I'm hearing noises from the audience that apparently there's interest there Cool. Anyway, I wonder what Z to the CK thinks of Zcash. Hey Rocky, what do you say to people that don't believe that TA has real validity? What do I say to people that don't believe that TA has real validity? I say hit the like button, subscribe, because obviously you're new to the channel here. That's what I say, right? That's what I say. Does that really need answered? Does that question need answered? I don't know. I mean, it's hard. It is a hard one to answer. I tend not to find myself in that position very often. People don't be asking me that question all that much, but you do get people saying it. Of course you do, and I see other people discussing it as well. So you know, what you see is that TA has got more validity to it than not doing TA. And I think that would be my sort of my briefest summary with regards to anybody who looks to get involved and be a participant in markets at all in any way, even if you believe that it's 99.9% fundamentals and 1% TA, then it's only a fool that looks a gift horse in the mouth. And I would say that the only type of bad TA is not doing TA, because over time what you'll find is that you're able to iteratively improve and become much better at it, and then be able to perform, you know, like this or whatever. Cool. Anyway, that's what I kind of say. But I don't find myself having that conversation very often, and I would just kind of say that's cool as well. I believe, you know, in people's right to have and indeed express, so long as they're not really, you know, hurting anybody, any opinion that they have. So if somebody has that opinion and they hold to it and they stand by it, that's totally fine, you know. And in the same way as like with any other faith, I wouldn't, you know, try and trample upon their faith in that regard, you know. But obviously, I have sort of established my position on that. There is a clue in math for crypto. We've been about less than 8 billion humans on Earth. Yeah, cool. We've got less than 8 billion humans on Earth as well. It's amazing that we have less than 8 billion humans on Earth. We should have more, don't you think? 13 monkeys and all that sort of stuff. You know, we should have more by now. I'm not in the Discord yet, says K-Doc. Well, get in the Discord, K, for crying out loud, Kevin. Got a wee green candle popping up here in this 5-minute candles. Sticks, will we see it? Oh, it's gone on down a wee bit. So we're kind of asking questions again now at this point, obviously, between this zone here and the next zone where we could see the prices going and how do you think they'll go? In fact, let me know. If you're watching right now, question of the moment, let me know what you think with regards to the price action and this right now, right here, right now. We've got the 5-minute candles up behind us, and we've all had a bit of a taste of TA recently enough, I'm sure. Even if you just tuned into TA for the first time in your life, you might be able to have an opinion. And I'm pretty sure knowing human beings that with your pattern recognition skills, you should be able to come up with some idea. Let me know in the comments, and I'll read it out, and we'll see who gets it right. And yeah, let me know how you're doing as well. And if you're just joined us on the stream, put a comment out there so I can give you a shout out and say hi and all that good stuff. And I will, yeah, I really do appreciate everybody who's taken part in the stream so far with all of your contributions with regards to comments and all that good stuff. Trey Spotting says, if you go on the Streamlabs, you can reset the tip jar. Yeah, I don't know how I reset the tip jar though. Rename, remove, interact, transform, interact. What is interact? The jar? No. No. Looking for the options here. Looking for the options. It'd be great if I knew what they were. Maybe I need to go to the alerts thing and like clear my alerts. Is that a thing? Is that a thing? I don't know. Refresh. Session restarted. So is that going to do it for me? Or if that... Anyway, how are you all doing? Let me know. I'll catch up with the chat in a second. Just at the minute, for anybody who's just tuning into the stream, I'm just trying to get my tip jar working properly. If I change it from one to the other, maybe it'll go and be cool now. I hit done. Still looks like it's full even though it's not full. I don't know what to do. with that. So yeah, I know that you would do it in Streamlabs. I've got the old Streamlabs open, but is it in Streamlabs on their website? Is that maybe what you were kind of meaning? In fact, I'm so new to this, so raw with it. I can do this in the background of the stream at least, so there's something for us all to kind of interact with. Tip page. Is it tip page or is it like widgets or something? Apps, themes, tip page, alert box, themes. There's something about widgets here, all widgets, and then chat box, alert box, event list, the jar. Click on this. I'm in the options for it. Save settings, disabled, enabled, text, the jar. Take off stuff. I don't know. It's a button. Yeah, on the website, not the app. It's a button. It's a button. Okay, cool. Empty jar. Empty jar. Wow, brilliant. Empty jar. Nice one. Brilliant. Anybody have any particular preference for jar, by the way? Since we've got this screen up, you might as well, if you've got a jar preference, let me know. What do we want? I mean, what do you drink out of? You've got this sort of whiskey jar here. As a Scottish person, of course, I have actual whiskey jars. Well, that's a little tumbler thing, I don't know, or whatever. I'll maybe change this to a whiskey type glass though, because of course that's at least the most similar to the type of glass that I would probably prefer to have my drinks served to me in. This one here, a nice glass for us. Sweet, excellent, back over the charts. That means that if anybody who hits the subscribe button or whatever will therefore you want the beer glass, the 3020? Well, it's too late, we're on whiskey tonight. Yeah, so cool. I'll just catch up with the chat here for a second. And thank you, by the way, thank you so much for that, TradeSpot, giving me the motivation to keep on going and telling me there was a button there. I needed that, so thank you. Right, cool. So, demo, if everyone follows T, it became self-fulfilling. Yeah, totally. I mean, and there's a degree of truth in that, right? You know, that we can all look at the same things and then you say, well, yeah, if the price goes here, it's got to go there, and then everybody thinks it, so then it just ends up happening. So there's kind of that sort of, that belief too. Now, it's funny that you say that, because I do think that you can do things to kind of mitigate that belief to a certain extent. I mean, it's true. It is true, but how much of an influence is that having over the charts? It's interesting to see us kind of, by the way, the prices, what are they doing, stratifying in and around this area. Did you like that word? Are we going to be finding support here then again down towards that 618? Will we find that this 50% area gets broken? Nobody said that this was going to happen in the chit chat. I'm pretty sure nobody said that, but we'll see. Oh no, TradeSpot did put in an answer. He submitted an answer, so we have a submission. Let's see how it went. Cool, excellent, super excited to be reading that as well. Yeah, I was going to say, well, actually we're on this here for now, so I'll skip past that chat. I was going to look up, what I was going to do was go to the Dow Jones, look back in time. How far back is it going to let me go? Going to let me go all the way back. So we want to go back to these sorts of things and look at it. So Dow theory was invented around about this time here, maybe a little bit earlier, but he didn't have charts to do it with, and little things that you can do just to kind of have an idea about how self-fulfilling these things are. You know, just roughly speaking, to say that these, like we would find that Dow himself was saying back in this period of time, you know, to people in newspapers on the 3rd of April, that things, when they do retrace, will often have a bounce back here at 50%. He was basing that on all of his experience from beforehand. Technical analysis kind of got popularized around about this point, and we do see that it moved towards the top side thereafter. We came in, we got 618 golden pocket retracement. You know, there's plenty of things that you can do, you know, or whatever. So then there's other things that you can do as well in terms of technical analysis, where you've got, whereby, like, for instance, what we see is we came up towards this high here, and bearing in mind this is a high that was put in September 1899, and we see in the RSI over here that it came in and was bearishly divergent. Then let's scroll over a big chunk. So this is how far we have to go in terms of movements in the price action. This is how far I have to go just to get to the point when the RSI was invented. So here we are, and the RSI has been invented. And what do we see here? It was invented. We had this low come in. You know, it's 1974. It was bullishly divergent. It went towards the top side. We kind of ticked off of this oversold, just at the edge of the oversold bearish control zone. Went to the top side, came up towards the top end of the bullish control zone, failed to take out our previous highs in terms of price action moving up above them, put in a degree of then sort of hidden bearish divergence with all that there as well, moved towards the downside, got another bullishly divergent low before a movement towards the top side, and who's to say whether or not RSI would have worked better 75 years before it was invented or in the years after it was invented. So I kind of say that as well to people. So there's the full answer. We want to be back over on Bitcoin, I assume, so I can read TradeSpot's answer and then tie it in with the price action, because that's cool AF. Excuse me with the old itchy eye. I'm sorry about the prices not being on the screen. Where's the wee right button? There we go. Let's go down towards the 5 minutes again for a bit of the old crack. And by crack I mean CRAIC, the Irish word for banter. Looking down towards these lows here, what have we got? Ooh, potential for some bullish divergence on the go here. And the prices came in as low as $19,000. Right, let's just tune over here. Test of $19,000 will be interesting. Possibly wicks to 18,900, give or take 50 blabs. Then we are in for a test of around 19,800. So we're in that mode right now. So do we possibly go on down and fulfill in the sort of the next part of what TradeSpot suggested? That's of course coming in with a nice thorough test of this 236 Fibonacci retracement point over here on the Bitcoin prices. Or do we go to the top side straight away? Of course, this was also intimated in his suggestion, and the target towards the top side that he gave us thereafter in terms of if we go for blast off comes in around about where we have this serrated line that I'm about to draw on the charts. I think he said it tested in around about 19.8. So just stick that in roughly there, and I'll put a label in around this area so we can know that this is Jamie's TP. That's take profit, not toilet paper. That's take profit, not toilet paper. For clarity there on that one. Cool, by the way. So we're still on the 5 minute charts for anybody who's curious as to what time frame we're looking at right now. And this has got a Fibonacci where we're kind of got the range currently in terms of the current prices straddling the 0 and the 236, if you like, with what we're looking at right now. And if we were to push on past that, then we come in at around about this resistance level 1 and move towards the top side. Bearing in mind, of course, that we have moved quite a ways up from the pivot point on that indicator. I'm not the biggest fan of this indicator thing, by the way, but it's pretty nifty, isn't it? It's handy, it makes the show easy to digest as well for people, so that's a really good boon as well. And that's pivot points in around about that 50% at 18,337. Anybody else want to get their price predictions up on the charts? Let me know. That would be cool. Did you enjoy that look back in time with regards to looking at the RSI? I don't know if people like these things or not. But I tell you what, it is good crack. It is good crack to be here with all of you in the chat box. Let's just see what you've been saying. So, Marsan Hibner, Marsan, all the best, take care. Are you way off? Cheerio, thanks very much for tuning in. Really do appreciate you coming by. That was great to have you here, buddy. Thanks so much. Yes, on the website, on the tab, there's a button. You helped me out with that earlier on. 3000 Trin wanted the beer glass. Lols then at me saying no. Akish, sorry, I read that wrong. You see, you don't expect that's me letting all the chookters amongst us in the audience down there with not getting that. Of course, that's what I was talking about in terms of my whiskey glass. And yes, I do have one. I don't know if it's to hand. No, it's not. Don't have any whiskey to put it in anyway. Of course. Oh wait, apart from this stuff, which comes out of the tap here. No comments. Oh, no comments. What about the comments? I thought the comments are up here on the screen. You can't see them, right? I didn't know the volume was too low though. I wonder what I can do to boost that up. Hey, is there a way of me boosting that up dead easy? Any of you Windows IT professionals out there want to give me a shout out about how to do it? I think if I go to sound settings or something like that, there's something in there. manage sound devices. Input devices, microphone. This thing. I don't know how you do it. If anybody wants to give me the instructions on how you do this, I don't know how you do it. I'll check in with it. That'd be cool. Must be easy enough, you'd have thought, though. Device properties. Oh, there we go. And I can turn the volume up. Oh, is this going to go mental? Right, going to need to have feedback here at this point as I turn the volume up on the microphone. So the microphone volume's up now at 100. Is that too loud? Let me know if it's too loud. Thanks for the feedback, by the way. It's a shame that I got a thumbs down from you, but what are you going to do? What are you going to do about that? Is that too loud or is it not? I don't know. Thanks very much for saying that you would help, Zach. What I was trying to do was change the microphone volume. It's going into the red from time to time, so I'm going to bring it down a bit. And there we go. So it's in or around about green to yellow. Let me know if that's a good volume level for you. I'm sorry, RT, that I'll let you down. No, it's not too loud. Too loud, says Demo. Oh, well, there we go. We've got, you know, this is where the feedback comes in at. How about that level then? Still seems probably too loud. Too loud feedback. There we go. We see. Is this better? Is this better? Is that too loud? Too quiet? I don't know. It seems to be more volatile than it was before because, right, you had your volume maxed. Yeah, way too loud. Some distortion, said WellQ. I lowered my volume. Right, cool. Are we at a happy medium around about here? Is this decent for people? This is the sort of stuff that I need to know, of course. This is my second proper sort of live stream setup that we've ever done. So, you know, that's what's going on here. I hope he's like the layout and everything. I think the colors and all that are a bit cool. Bit of background noise could do with turning the gain up on the mic instead if you can. Right, no, I'm not. I don't think I've got an easy button here on the thingy itself just here. So I'd have to. Somebody else says they don't hear feedback. Bit of background noise. I think, you know, as well, I haven't set the settings. I mean, if you guys are pro at this, then we could do the whole settings things together as well. I mean, that would be cool because I haven't even, you know, there's like performance mode, whatever that means. You got filters. Don't know what they are. So whatever, there's like, I'm sure there's an equalizer somewhere that I really should be changing. Properties, device, whatever, I don't know. So anyway, there's plenty of that sort of stuff. I think pretty good here on sound. Sweet. Andrew Alvarado, thank you so much for that. By the way, welcome to the channel if you are not a subscriber. If you already are, that's sweet, cool, good to have you there. And yeah, hit the like button if you can. That's brilliant. Yeah, no red. Okay, totally. I'm keeping it so that there's no red from now on, and I'll keep my eye out on that from time to time. And thanks very much for your feedback, everybody. Yeah, and I'll fix things like background noise and stuff as we go along with this, you know, in general. I'm not surprised there's a bit of background noise, by the way, because I have got some electronic devices nearby putting out their good electronic device vibes. As well as having a heater blowing and a fridge running nearby as well. Cool. Anyway, in here at the 1900 area, so we're still waiting to see, will we snap one way or another? Are we going to be snapping some necks? It'd be cool if we did see some price movement up towards Jamie's take profit, not toilet paper target. That would be cool. There's interesting things that can be pointed out, by the way, which maybe need to be pointed out that we haven't talked about so far with regards to the all-time high schema. Just over here in terms of GBTC, reports about GBTC pricing being at an all-time high are slightly inaccurate currently, but we are coming up towards these highs. The all-time high for it's up there at 38, so it's disgusting, it's egregious, it's definitely crazy. And we've got various different points looking back the way in the past, in and around about where we could see the prices going to that we're not a million miles away from right now. For instance, right here, in and around about resistance level 2 on that one. So that's a bit interesting. You know, we have this on the go. In terms of gaps and whatnot, GBTC is so messy with them that you could almost do with just looking at it in terms of the weekly. You do see that there's a pretty good fill rate with gaps on the weekly, but we've not got very many to look back at with regards to you know, that they're pretty much all filled on the weekly as far as I'm aware. Let me just actually get rid of the drawings, make this life a bit easier on myself. Yeah, they are. So whenever they happen, they do tend to get done, but we could drag it down a little bit and see if we've got anything sort of jumping at us in terms of 3-day chart or something, you know, quite expansive, though there's little tiny slivers of gaps places, but nothing super scary looking. And anything to the top side right now, well, we filled in, if that was, no, there's no gaps there. 24-hour time frame, maybe quick look for gaps up above. and then I'll go back over to the chat and see what everybody's saying about the current price action. And if you're enjoying this, seeing crypto go towards new highs, it'd be cool if it happened during the show, wouldn't it? Wouldn't that be awesome? And if I do live streams all the time, then it could well be the case that we get new all-time highs on a live stream at some point in the future. That would be pretty cool, wouldn't it? But we will have to wait and see on that front. So the historical gap in terms of the GBTC chart, if you were interested, in terms of since they put in those rank all-time highs up there, you know, compared to I'm calling this rank because of just the shock that then ensued for customers of GBTC in around about that enthusiasm. So the biggest, the gap that we had since then was in at that area that I can stick a horizontal ray in just to show you on the 24-hour time frame in here, and that's been filled in. We didn't have gaps, there was a gap here, got filled in subsequently, gaps here got filled in, any other ones so far, and then of course that's just sort of prior price, lower price action. So going over to the right hand side and checking in with our old buddy old pal, the GBTC, and seeing that we actually closed in that gap over here, and lo and behold, we only went and opened up a new one yet again. So I suppose we might as well put these things on the chart here just for our perusal pleasures in the next wee while. I'll just mark off them with various numerous horizontal rays. I can always come back and fix this in the future, but there we have it, ladies and gents, in terms of the 24-hour chart. Now, like I did say as well, that's kind of prefaced all this by talking about it on the weekly and stuff like that. In terms of the 3-day, there's a gap down here, 18.19. That could go in line with any sorts of pullbacks that we see coming up in terms of the price targets that we've discussed in the recent episodes. Cool. Sweet. Nice one. Back over to the chat. Sweet, wee bit too loud, said Trey Spawn earlier on. Too loud feedback. Yeah, we got through that. It better, said K-Doc. Cheers, Kevin. WallQ, too loud with some distortion. Demo, well, I had my volume maxed. Yeah, we went through that. We've read this already. Hopefully that works for RT. Bit of background noise. Yeah, we read that too. I don't hear the feedback. Andrew came in and said it's all pretty good, and that was whenever my confidence was restored. Andrew, you hero. Thank you so much. And then we got confirmation from everybody else then thereafter. You could move the mic slightly further away perhaps. Even then it's good, cool, whatever. GBDCs traded during equity market hours, gaps should be ignored. Yeah, cool, okay. There's that, there is that, and this is why you can talk about things in terms of like the weekly and just looking to see about their fulfillment. And mostly it's meme-tastic and it's just for a bit of fun. These gaps things, people can be very fascinated with gaps, and that was the danger, of course, back here on the Bitcoin chart with the gap that we have. Where is she? Oh, it's not on the 3-day time frame or whatever, or it's all wrapped up in loads of cotton wool. I don't know what it is. In here somewhere. Where was it? Over here? Yeah, here. And you get fascinated on it. And this is, if you remember back to the Bitcoin live videos that we're doing, or the recorded live TA. I think maybe it was in and around about this time somewhere. Wait, no, that's October, so that wasn't. No, it was in and around about this time, I think, here when we were chatting about this post head and shoulders area, that, at some point you have to relinquish, like, looking for these things to be filled and just chart it as it is. We can always acknowledge, and we always will acknowledge, his name was Robert Paulson, etc., 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 with regards to this gap over here, and that will remain forever in our thoughts. But, we don't need to be fascinated by it, and I think that that's an issue when it comes to these sort of gap things. Now, of course, as well, I do think that there's always a pretty good odds-on bet when it comes to gaps with regards to things like this here on the hourly time frame. If you're seeing a gap, and will it get filled in? For instance, during last night's live stream, we had a gap that was a big gap. When did that gap happen? I mean, I know it was 24 hours ago, so let's sort of struggle embarrassingly to figure out 24 hours ago. There was a gap at one point. Yeah, anyway, pretty good bet that you'll get it filled in. Oh, here we go. Or whatever. So there was some price action around here. That gap got filled in. And we're talking about a move from 1860 down to 1840. That's $200. I mean, it's nothing to be sniffed at. It's also nothing to be like, banking your entire, your kid's inheritance on either. Let's be clear. But there's always a pretty good bet. So, I mean, if you want to talk about gaps and stuff like that, then I think it's always fair play, and there's always a conversation to be had about them. even in terms of like the sort of the ridiculousness of things like that, this 5-minute gap over here, will it get filled? Is even though it's possible to do it, but by and large you're right, and I think that they should be ignored in terms of putting your decision making first. Just going to catch up with the chat here. Good to see you joining us, JCC. Nice to have you here, by the way. Very, very good to have you. Hi. Hope you're well. Do you think that you could organize an all-time high for Bitcoin for your birthday next week? I'm trying to see if we can get that going. Yeah, that's, by the way, everybody, it's my birthday next week. What's it today? The 24th, aye? Yeah, so it's my birthday on the 30th. So I hope you all tune in for my birthday stream. That'll be great. I'll have a bit of cake on stream with y'all. If you want to go out there and get yourself some cake from the birthday cake shop, so you can have a sort of virtual COVID-style birthday party where we all just live stream eating cake together. Maybe we can organize something like that. I don't know. I was also thinking maybe I would have a drink on stream with people to celebrate, whatever. Anyway, cool. We'll just catch up with the other chat that we've got. I see that Lee has joined us. Thank you so much, Lee. Good to have you here. Good morning, Rocky. About to start work again. Thanks for the good videos. Best content on YouTube. Thumbs up. There we go. That's the attitude. Thanks so much, buddy. I really do appreciate it. Always massively appreciate that sort of stuff. Thank you so much for the vote of confidence there. What else do we have? GBTC traded on equity. Yeah, you were right about that. We talked about that. Zach, do you have a video where you talk about your setup and what indicators you like? I kind of technically do. If you go over to the channel, then you can see that I've got what the hell? I don't really know how you use YouTube. That's the issue. I've got a video about like it's like welcome to the channel, that says to new subscribers. Maybe I can't see it because I'm me. That might be the issue there with that. Anyway, like the one that welcomes you. But yeah, there's maybe, I think it's probably worth mentioning that of course I change them from time to time, so that there's quite likely outdated information in there, and of course I change them frequently. I mean, for instance, we've not even had any of these other indicators that I frequently use on the charts the entire time for this show. For instance, the Bollinger Bands is something that I talk about from time to time. Tend to just keep these on standard settings. I've discussed this a few times with people in the past as well. The reasons for that. So just now that you're a subscriber and all the rest of it, you will be exposed to all this sort of chat over time. I also use the EMAs. Shout out to Crown's Crypto Cave, by the way, who was the one that published that indicator, which I use. It's pretty straightforward, isn't it? And I could have made my own. Maybe I will just for the lols, but the last time I published my own indicator on TradingView, they said it wasn't original enough, so he got in there just before they kind of stopped that party. The colours I use, by the way, for them are yellow, green, blue, and pink, and that is the EMAs. They're all exponential moving averages for yellow, green, blue, and pink. And then red dotted line and white dotted line are simple moving averages, and the numbers of them in order are 8, 18, 36, 54 for those exponentials, and 50 and 200. So I use them quite a bit, and there's a lot of good reason for that. For instance, simple chat that you can have with regards to the moving averages there, is that we had a golden cross back over on the 8th of June 2020, and since then prices have gone towards the top side, having subsequently come back and retested the 50 simple moving average without really needing to retest the 200 moving average or test it at all since before the cross happened. And since then we've seen prices rising rapidly towards the top side, having actually overtaken the 50 simple moving average since the 11th of October, and we've been in a rapid move towards the top side. Targets which you could look to if you're being bearish for pullbacks at any given time could incorporate some analysis of where you might find any of these particular moving averages positioned. So I tend to look at them very differently, from one episode to the next, given the time frames, the context of what we're looking at, and the confluence and whatever that we're got on the go there. So as to say how I use them would more or less come into sort of like course type of material, but that's what they are there. For instance. And another one that I often use as well is the VPVR, and when I use it, I actually tend to get rid of the point of control. I don't really very much find any benefit in looking at that. I also tend to change the colors on this so that the value area, or remove value area, does it give me the option? Show values, no, it's about the value area. I tend to just change it so that I can change the value area size, that's it, up like 100 or whatever it is, so I get the full thing on. Yeah, because I just make it so I can see it. I mean, I know that the value area in that is going to be in this chunk here. It's super obvious. I don't need to have this bit darkened off for any reason as I'm looking at the charts here, and we can give a good idea about areas where we see liquidity having, exchange transactions having occurred here, with buy and sell orders being executed on the market. And we see then, if we scroll back the way, that we can see more and more of that as it stacks up at the given price area. So those are the indicators I like to use. Put on a 3-day time frame so you can see, for instance, about this one. And of course, historically speaking, a lot less trading has happened up at these areas, and you can see the areas where lots of trading has happened, and it comes in at handy sort of key points for you in terms of massive inflection points in the market. For instance, looking down here towards 4,000, where we see this big node coming back in again, 5,500 area, 5,300 for that one, the 6,000 area, the 8,000 area, the 9 to 10,000 zone as we went through. Then of course the 12,000 area, a significant node here when you look at this, really with comparison to what we've seen recently. And then as well, you do have these kind of trying to show you in a sense if it's buying and selling in a sense with regards to the colors on these things. I was asked recently if there's a way of looking at that sort of thing, but in terms of talking about it reliably and in a way that actually means anything of any real value, not really is an answer to that question in terms of how you would tell in terms of what's been buying and selling volume. Not worth really wasting your time on it, but there's all the things that I generally use. And of course down below you've got the RSI, the Stochastics, and the DMI here, and then the MACD. Now the MACD you might not recognize because I don't use the moving the average line, the MACD line, or the signal line. The DMI you might not recognize because compared to the one you get out of the box, this has got a lot more colors on it and different zones marked out. I've customized this because this is something that I've used for quite a while, and it's something that I like to use in my trading. I've got different areas in the background marked out that you can use in terms of just understanding different areas that the prices have moved to. As a result, then move the DMI up here and the interaction between them, and the colors that I use are the colors that I like. And as well, I've changed the ADX line to change its color depending on its position, and I've also added an area in the background which will show you when there's a distinct chance of volatility coming into play, stuff like that. And I've also customized the other indicators that I use. That's the 3-day time frame. If you want to see how that works, for instance, you've got this zone here. It was nice and white. Then we saw when the musical chairs ended on this wouldn't. That's whenever the volatility came into play. And as you can see, there's a good reason why I don't have all these things open at once on the charts. Typically, because of course then a lot of noise comes in to play there with that. So yeah, anyway, the prices, the volatility indicator as part of this sort of concept in terms of just styling out the DMI to make it easier for people who are less familiar with using it to use it. You can get access to all of that in the Discord. I give access to that to people, so that's cool. So if you want, then there you go. What else do we have on here in terms of the chat? By the way, Andrew, thanks very much. You got it, mate. Cheers. Yes, thank you again. K-Doc, I just read that Binance US users only have 14 days to get their assets off the exchange. If any of you are using it, get in there and don't lose your monies. Well, I wonder what that's to do with. That's strange, isn't it? Is that strange? Is that real news? Do you want to share a link? You can share a link, by the way, and I can bring it up in the chat. Then Walq says, that's behind the chat. That's behind the chat. Yes. Oh, that's behind the chat. Oh, what did I have behind the chat that whole bloody time? I was just explaining something and it was behind the bloody chat. Sorry about that. The VPVR. Oh, the VPVR is behind the chat. Oh, yes. Sugar. Yeah. How am I gonna orientate this? Well, interesting. Thanks very much. How do I do it? Placement left. There we go. There's the VPVR on. It's not where I like to have it, but it's behind the chats previously, so there you go. I suppose it is what it is, right? Maybe I'll use one of those volume profile not visible range things and stick it on at certain points in the future, but I don't really care. It's there. I could make it more translucent maybe. How about that? That might be interesting. Everybody let me know how you're doing in the chat, and I'll come back over there and suggest a coin or something for us to look at, and then I will start to talk about when I'm wrapping this stream up, because we're looking at it coming into about 9 o'clock. I can't actually tell how long the stream's been on for. Let me know. I could just check in here actually with the stream. Excuse me. Hope I don't end the universe. 18 watching now, started 2 hours ago. That's awesome. Got 37 likes. Got a dislike from that guy about the volume earlier on, but I tell you what, that was a worthwhile dislike. And as you can see, I also hit the like button myself. So, you know, I'm out there contributing to this. This is something that you all can do, by the way, as well. If you want to help out the channels, you just have to click these sorts of buttons, and then what you're presented with is with really easy ways of sharing this live stream now on for BTC. See, so easy to do, and you can help the channel grow just like I did there now. So that's how that works. Not a lot of people know that, but that's how the share button works, everybody. Same for Twitter, whatever. But anyway, I'm super proud to have got 37 likes in this, even if one of them is myself. And yeah, let me just jump back over the Outcropticians. Yeah, thanks so much to everybody. That's who you all are, the Outcropticians. That's what's in this chat box here with Outcropticians. If that's what you meant as well. No, that's behind the chat. That was definitely about the VPVR at the time. But yeah, Outcropticians. That's what y'all are. Current price on this exchange, which is of course the CME's 19,365, and the current price over here on the spots are 19,065. So we currently have a $300 premium on the CMEs, which is of note, I suppose, when you think about the way that the price has interacted with the CMEs of late. Let me just take this off auto so it doesn't screw with me as I zoom around. Yeah, I don't know what you think about this VPVR edit that I made there when I was chatting in the background, but it's there now visible. It's kind of slightly grey. Maybe the volume's too big. I'll just hide the volume for now as well. In terms of the volume, is there anything notable going on before I hide it? 5 minutes, no. 1 hour, and a slight increase. Okay, 4 hours. 24 hours. Well, at 24 hours you can see this nice steady-ish move towards the top side in terms of the moving average, and then you can also see the sort of the incongruity there with the peaks. I've pointed this out in the past. Just looking back, the way the peak volume is lower, the average volume is higher, so you've got that on the go. That, of course, kind of coincides with a lot of little things that we've been seeing in terms of like failed patterns, or successful patterns, depending on if you were looking at it from a bullish or bearish point of view, and whatever recently with any sort of downward side movement that you might have seen kind of ties together with that volume structure in a way, as we see that as we see sort of that old-fashioned big account, big fish swimming in its wake signs on the markets there. This is a little bit too noisy, I think, to see, but I think the point here of what I was trying to say before is quite visible in general, that we've come up outside of this triangle and we're in this area, and it's a question right now of whether or not this wants to be a bull flag. If it wants to be a bull flag and it pushes past these areas up towards the 19,500 price point again, or 19,300, let's call it, actually, sorry, really, we could be putting in a change of behavior, breaking out from the bull flag, perhaps putting in a right hand shoulder of what could ultimately be a head and shoulders, if you want to be sort of critical of it at that point, with a sort of delayed onset reaction here with regards to the RSI type of head and shoulders looky there, if that were to be the case. Of course, if not, we're looking at that sort of 19,500 area and pushing past that up into blue sky thinking territory yet again, as we only have a tiny wee distance to go before we're at the all-time highs on this McCharticles. Now, people have been interested as well in terms of where we we are with regards to all-time highs. Might as well point this out, that in terms of the all-time high here, we have a wick up there at 19,655. So that's your all-time high in terms of where the prices actually managed to go. And this is what we kind of started as well off the stream looking at, is that we have this question in mind right now. Are we going to be able to achieve a body close higher than our all-time high body close? Now this is just the 24-hour time frame, and this of course is Bitcoin on the Bitstamp chart, and that comes in there in terms of the body close at 19,180. Just where enthusiasm reigns supreme, we should probably take a look in here at the all-time high that we got back here on BitMexico. Take off auto again for a second. So we can see what we saw here in terms of body closes. 24-hour time frame, body close 19,470. So we're within spitting distance of all-time high body closes. So there's those two perspectives that you could have currently with regards to the all-time highs, you know, in the next wee while, and whether or not it's possible to get some. And what type of all-time high you're looking at. In terms of body closes, we're really, truly, well and truly stinking on for it. We're right sniffing up its bum, you know, right up there, very much smelling the poo-poo with regards to being on the backside of the all-time high. So there we go, and the wick, as we can see today, you know, coming up there as high as 19,470, and just scrolling over to the left and making a comparison, that is just shy of the high which came in here in terms of the wick on BitMEX, up there at 20,087. Now this is where you're going to find that 20,000 price point, which is what we often talk about with regards to Bitcoin. Looking over at various other places, you can see, for instance, here 19,500 is a fairly common all-time high, and it's really just a very few exchanges which have got it up as high as that. Bybit, for instance, here obviously doesn't have it at all. GBTC, we talked about those all-time highs already. So yeah, that's a nice little discussion about all-time highs for everybody. Interesting that Binance has got something about 14 days. If anybody wants to share that link with me, you can. And thanks so much, by the way, to TradeSpawn for sharing that link on Facebook. And 3000 Trin says the 2-hour chart. So I want to take a look at the 2 hours, maybe in regards to something that I was talking about earlier on. Not too sure what it would be, but I am going to, at some point in the not too radically distant future, say thank you so much for tuning in, and tune out myself, and leave it with you. So, you know, let me know your thoughts, get some chatting if you want to get some chit chat in here before any sort of before I tune out and all that sort of stuff. And if there's anything you want me to look at with regards to any coin in particular or any of that sort of thing. Now, when I do say any of that sort of thing, I don't really want to look at traditional stuff, but I will just stick on the NASDAQ here. Since markets are open in the US of A, and we are looking at interesting stuff over here with regards to the price action. Now, I kind of intuited this, I guess, that we would be, because I haven't looked at this, obviously, since starting the stream a couple of hours ago now. So we've seen some nice movement up towards the top side. That's good to see having happened. Is there anything that we could have anticipated in terms of any charting and how this could have potentially have came about? Well, I suppose in some ways you have the 236 Fibonacci retracement point, so standing there so proudly at 11,000, well, let's just call it 12,000, and that pushing past 12 then precipitated a move to come up and test where our previous wick was, really, essentially. So that's fair enough, and that's positive to see, but waiting for a resolution of this current structure that we're in, really, still at the minute. I'm still curious as to risk on, risk off assets as well, if anybody wants to chime in with any of that sort of stuff. We talked about JPY yesterday, USD JPY, and areas where we could see the prices coming back down to. As we can see right now, we've got that 50% area operating as support for the price. Will we see that continue? There is this obvious distinct bearish divergence just here. We have to admit that we're in a downward trend. We are looking for this at some point to possibly radically change, and if we look up the way, you can see in this 4-hour time frame that there's a temptation to you know, your eyeball out ahead and some shoulder and whatnot there as well. If we just jump up towards the 12-hour time frame, maybe it's better to look at it on the 24-hour after all, in fact, and just kind of ask a question here as to no, I don't really like it for a head and shoulders. I don't like it for head and shoulders, but there is that aspect to it, where we could kind of just draw it in with a trend line, I suppose, just for ease. And like movements then past this 105 area could precipitate a move up towards targets as high as 107. And I wonder to myself, like, how much of an impact that might have in terms of the broader picture if we were to see something like that happen. Of course, that's quite a bullish look at things, and that's really much determined by how we perform in and around about this zone here, where we could very much have any sort of thing happen. I mean, just so you don't get your sort of ahead of yourself type of point of view, there's like that on the go, which could very much transpire into a continuation pattern. You asked about ICX earlier. 2 hours. Cheers, man. 2 hours. Sorry. Thanks for that, by the way. Sorry for being thick. You asked about ICX earlier. Let's have a look. Have you got an exchange choice, by the way, and a pairing choice? But let's just take a look here at it on Kraken or BitHum. No, that's USDT. I'm just wanting to get the volume. Binance is probably where it's at. Cool, good suggestion. I've never looked at this one on the show before, so that's a good start. What would we like to look at it with? What is upward movement? Then there's this kind of head and shoulders-esque thing there as well. Talk about that, but I'm a bit influenced by what I was just looking at. We've then broken this area of that move, 46.35. We've clearly moved down. We've clearly moved up a good chunk here, and at least got that 382 on the go as well. So yeah, we got the 382 there nicely, and in terms of the lows to the highs, recent works, we've managed to get a turnaround back up above the 50%. Am I right? No, I'm not right. Right on the 50% area, right as we speak. So that's cool to see. So in terms of like just these forming up a few horizontals for us, this is a broad look on the 24 hours, but zooming back into the 15-minute chart, then here you can see how that kind of lines up for you fairly nicely in terms of just some rough idea for where we are and from a broad point of view. So that's kind of handy, and we're looking to see the prices not go down below this green line. This green line is going to be a 236 Fibonacci retracement, and this is for the retrace towards the top side. So we don't want to see this happening. That's going to come in there and operate as our support. And in terms of our the profit taking target up above our heads, we could look at 48. That's not maybe the satisfying type of move that you'd be looking for, but taking out this area certainly signals a change, because maintaining this is maintaining that 50% retracement area. Taking this out is taking out the 382, and the 382 is going to perhaps precipitate movements then thereafter on towards higher targets such as the 618 over here. There is this inflection, and I would bear in mind the head and shoulders-esque move I first mentioned kind of there when coming in there about 54. So your top side targets currently have got to remain there at 49 to 54. If you want to just like 50 to 55 if you want for easiness sake, or 48 to 54 for conservatism's sake, but that's on the proviso that we're actually able to move up above 46, really where we are right now, and maintain 41, and that's the current ranges that we're looking at. And we can then sort of see how any of that would tie up together with some of our moving averages, for instance. So we know over here on the 24-hour time frame now, just in a brief look, that in there at 40 is where the 8-period simple moving average is. Going down towards the 4-hour time frame and getting a couple of ideas here because it'll be a bit broader looking. You've got 45 and 42 and 40 coming in there to lay that all out between where we are and of course the 236. So in terms of like confluence right now, looking down the way, that isn't there so much, but you can see your potential sort of hopium turnaround zones if you were to be starting to drop down that way. And you can quite clearly see as well that we need to see this turnaround here in terms of the short-term time frame, with the 8 taking out that 18 again and moving towards the top side, with us being able to sustain price action above that pink line, having taken it out again since we saw the prices kind of revert towards going back towards the top side. But how are we looking in terms of divergences then, therefore, at this stage? Having had bearish divergence in the run into this area, then pulled back down the way so far. We came back down and we touched off of this and got rejected on our first pass for sure. Came back up, haven't had a first pass then at this bullish control zone yet, and that's kind of worthwhile not having had, because it would be very much hidden bearish divergence if we had. So looking to take this area out without that divergence on the go, and to be able to move on past this previous high, or else we're looking at issues for us. I'm just trying to decide, sorry, I'll get back over to the chat. I see it flicked there, so in my peripheral vision, just trying to decide if we're looking at any sort of wedge on the go here by looking at the MACD and kind of asking a question here. As you can see, between this high and the previous high, if I just draw this in there, you can see that this is obviously coming in lower, right? So then if I go back out to the charts and compare this high, which is lower than the previous high so far, then this high is actually coming in at the high. So we came in really close to it, but we didn't get hidden bearish divergence and we didn't take it out. So it's looking healthy enough for the upside movement there. And in terms of patterns, then we are looking at this, if we're going to have a negative move outside of it, as being a wedge drawn in there with that wick. That's not so great, but this is the Klopp's upside target, whether you're talking about a wedge or a triangle or a channel or anything, and that's what we're going to look to in terms of movements up the way. And then in terms of the volatility here and our standard deviation, just to give you the full complete funhouse round the full roundup, then the funhouse thing, at the end where you get to go into the funhouse. So you get the full bloody lot. Then let's look on the Bollinger Bands and see, with regards to how we've come extended in and around about this move here that we've had recently. And as you can see then, as we came outside of the Bollinger Bands, nice reflection back into it again here. Same over here at the top side. We were tracing it towards the top. We didn't actually push outside of it before retracing back into it again. Bear in mind, this is just a 15-minute time frame, but as we so often see when we get these erroneous style candles outside of the standard deviation point, we get the reaction back the way again. Currently then it zooms right into the area that we then already lined up with in terms of our analysis, that we're looking here to see if we can move up the way, take out that middle line of the Bollinger Band and go towards the top side, asking questions about how we approach up there with regards to divergences we've already discussed, and if we could go into this potential fake out zone and then come back in and find support thereafter if we push outside the Bollinger Bands on our way up towards that area. If we do go on towards the top side, a few sustained candles with a nice movement towards the top, tracing the Bollinger Bands along the way would be preferable to any sort of sudden and jarring movement, given the sort of the sensitivity that we will have right now with having had a recent exposure towards bearish divergence with a pullback down the way and a current existence which is no doubt below the 236, with still the potential to continue on down the way and recapture these lows. But the most tentative positive thing, of course, is the resurgence since coming down here, where we would have had the low coming in and not kind of re-breaking that again. So if I just demonstrate that real quickly, final note here on this coin, and I hope I'm doing the right pairing for you and all that, by the way, my friend, is that you can see that we're above the 236 here. We didn't take that out on the way down, and that was good to see, and that's what we love and we're happy to have. But we have come in and done the 618, and that's the most bearish aspect about where we are right now. And in terms of the movement that we've had back down the way, then since we've had this sort of shocking rise, I suppose let's call it, from there and go on up towards the top side, even though I'm taking this all the way from the lows, you can see that we're below this green line here, which is of course that 236 Fibonacci, keeping this as a valid one, and having come in then with, in terms of the movement so far, down towards this 618 in this movement down the way, which we just measured against. We are still above the 236 and all the rest of it up, but we just took out the 618 in this zone. But we came all the way down here towards this zone and then moved up the way. We didn't actually get the full golden pocket retrace. Could that still be on the cards? Well, I think the demonstration of what way we're going to be going will be discovered by the resolution of, say, two or three of these factors. So what you need to do there is simply just go back 10 minutes, listen to what I said again, kind of think to yourself, right, well, there's 5 different moving parts there. As soon as we get 3 or 4 of them aligning up in one direction, then we've probably got a trade setup for us, right? And in terms of the most basic trade setup that you could possibly have right now, you're going to have to look at this area and just say that it's very easy to long this from this movement down the way up towards the top side, and that in terms of if you're trading this live right now, and in which case your profit taking target would probably be there, and then your risk to reward target would probably be in about in terms of managing of your risk stopping target, sorry if I get my words right, would probably be in about there. As you can see, in terms of the risk of this trade, the last few opportunities you wouldn't have got stopped out. Had you taken it there, of course, you would have got stopped out. These last few you wouldn't have. You're currently sat in a profit of 0.0028. Nothing to be sniffed at when you're looking at a price of 0.46 to begin with, and then your profit taking target comes in there, and then the next easiest move thereafter would probably be the converse of that. But I don't think anybody out there in the world gives away technical analysis like that, of that quality, regularly on the fly, live, showing you exactly how you would do it yourself so that you can develop that confidence and do these things at home yourself. I hope that you're able to see that. Of course, there's a coin that I hadn't ever looked at before on the channel, and I've got some idea now, at least, about how the price action could potentially go with this, and there's plenty more scope for analysis. Of course, we haven't looked at the VPVR, which is now on the left hand side, during any of this chit chat. We haven't looked at various other factors, and those are, of course, just the moving averages, Bollinger Bands and such, and not really looking at patterns or anything. So there's tons more you could do if you wanted to yourself. I'm a fan of all of it. I use a good mixture of things on a daily basis. But if you haven't hit that subscribe button yet and you're tuned into this channel, then that would be cool if you did. And you know what? Nobody's hit the subscribe button so far this entire stream, and in fact, even in this stream, we can see the last person to hit the subscribe button has been in here chatting with us, Zach. So what we have here is a really solid community where people tune in, and everybody that's been a part of this so far has been a subscriber, and it's fair enough. I can bang on about it, hit the subscribe button, but there's very little that anybody can do about that when they're already subscribed, and it's really cool to be a part of this community. So all thanks to you guys for all of that. So thanks so much to everybody. Right, cool. Just checking with what you were saying in the chat there. It just had that move up. AB Lopez says, what platform are you using? Cracking. Oh, you're talking to each other in there as well. That's fantastic. By the way, welcome to the stream, AB Lopez. If you've not hit that subscribe button, be that person. Hit that button. See your name appear on screen, by the way, down here. I was talking wrong. I sometimes do this. I don't forget to point to the wrong place on the screen during the stream. I'm kind of relatively new to this, but as you see here where I'm flicking the mouse around, if you want your name to appear there, all you have to do is hit the subscribe button, and I'll give you a shout out as well. Be a good laugh. Cool. So nice one. Catching up with everybody. K-Doc said, bye y'all, see you later, Kevin. Hope you have a good evening if you catch me seeing this later. Oh, you want me to look at YFI? Well, that'll be the last one. I think that'll be the last one, and then I'm tuning out, by the way, everybody. So I'll take a look at YFI after I've caught up with the chat here. As you can see in the background, that prospective trade there has obviously come right to the cusp of getting stopped out. I'm just watching it now to see if it does that. It hasn't been, so there you go. It still hasn't been. Anyway, oh, check it out, 3,000 trin, check it out. Wow. And your name will, in the next couple of seconds, whenever whenever this feed catches up, will replace this one here, Who Let the Bulls Out. Thank you so much for being the latest donator to the channel. That's absolutely fantastic. And as you can see here, this imaginary trade that we've conducted for the purposes of education, not, of course, not financial advice, but education. This is a very heavily educational show, by the way. Yeah, this is heavily that's what we're doing here. Oh, hey Horn Hunter, man. Hey Horn Hunter, you're a little bit late to the show, but it's good to have you here. As ever, really good to see you again, buddy. Yeah, like I say, AB Lopez, if you want to hit that button, then you can. That would be cool, and I'd appreciate it. I'm not sure why we didn't see your thingy, your name come in the box over here yet, by the way. I'm disappointed with that. I'll have to get in touch with Streamlabs executives. Tell them 3,000 trin should be in the box. Gosh darn it. But at least we saw the coins dropping in. That's pretty funky. Yeah, AB Lopez, what platform am I using? This is TradingView. You've got up behind me right now, by the way, TradingView. If you meant anything else, let me know. But if you're also interested in using TradingView, there is an affiliate Yeah, Demo answered that for you. Cheers, Spidey Monkey. There's an affiliate link for that in the description below my name, if you and below the chart here, below the video. In the description, you know, you've seen YouTube before. There's an affiliate link in there if you want to use that. That's cool. They're doing a sale at the minute. TradingView, the chart tool. Thanks for that demo, keeping everybody informed. Can you take a look at YFI? Yes, I'll be doing that in a moment or two, just after we catch up with the chat. By the way, thanks for your patience on that in that regard. Hope you're having a nice lunchtime. By the way, it must be lunchtime more or less now in San Francisco. Oh, San Francisco's got such a great supermarket. I mean, you may or may not be into it, but if you like vegan stuff, they got a rate that's called the Rainbow Supermarket, I think, something like that. Really, really, really good one. I like it quite a bit for all that sort of stuff. Check it out. Pellegrino, thanks for all your time today. By the way, Patrick, you are more than welcome. Thank you, Paddy, for the comment. I really do appreciate it. That trade, the imaginary trade did get stopped out, it seems, in the end. Nobody really cares. Conceptually, it's still, you know, it's an idea, but this is just an idea that we're talking about. Right, yeah, hey Horn Hunter, thanks so much for joining us. AB Lopez, minding either, lol. I don't know, did I miss a comment there? Because I'm kind of not catching that one. Whatever. Bit late. Yeah, you're a bit late. You're a bit late, but it's all good. It's good to have you. Better late than never. No, the rainbow well. There you go. Nice one. Yeah, see, it's great, that place. Really loved it. Right, cool. Yeah, so you asked for YFI. Let's take a look at YFI. And obviously this is a bit of a sucky trade. The other clear alternative, by the way, is the inverse of this, as we spoke about. Not that you need to be trading all the time anyway, but you know, you'd be looking at it that way around instead. But who cares about this? Let's take a look at YFI. Yearn to the mother in Phi to the mother in finance. MFI USDT. Totally confused myself there with my really bad chit chat. This is it on Binance. Got a lol. This is us on Binance here, everybody. Of course, we don't want to be looking at this at the 15-minute chart straight away. No doubt, we don't. No doubt about that. We also probably don't want to have too much noise on here for this. Looking at it straight away, let's get rid of the EMAs then, maybe just to clean this up a little bit as a starting position for us, right? We also can look here. This is the 12-hour time frame. This is enough to get I'll just check with the chat real quick, then I'll catch up with this here, because I see there's a wee bit in there. Rainbow is nice. Yeah, we all like the rainbow, right? Yeah, it's quality. Really, really good. Friendly staff in there too. Yeah, cool. Anyway, I talk about it like I'm there all the time, but I'm not. Yeah, we can see enough here with regards to the historical price action when it being the 12-hour time frame to take a look at the VPVR. I am a little bit annoyed about these things kind of blocking up my view. A broker is not connected. There's a way of changing it so it's not on stream on trading view, isn't there? Excuse me, Spidey. I know that you, as a member of Discord and all that, have probably got a good deal of patience for me already. Is there a way I can get rid of that? Show indicator titles, show buy sell buttons. Yeah, brilliant. That's gone. That's what I wanted. And it's not showing me the open and closes, of course, over there because yeah, fine, didn't exist. Right, so the VPVR shows us a couple of things, right? We're back into this dropping off territory. I mean, this is a bit of a waste of time in a sense because we already knew this anyway from the sheer virtue of the fact of having lived through this really nascent coin's existence altogether anyway. We're up here at head and shoulders territory yet again. So this is the zone that we're in terms of, if you want to be looking at things in terms of like Benjamin Cowan talks about with regimes, in terms of economic regimes and the type of analysis that you'll be doing in this zone, we're back in that price range now. So the question will kind of come down to, are we in the same regime as we were in then? So let's take an analysis from that point of view, shall we? First off, let's make a couple of comparison points with these highs. So we've got highs on the go here. That's where it started, and then we had a subsequent high in this point here, and you can see that of course we started off all good, you know, whatever, came down with divergence then there afterwards, and then just went on down the way and started to trend towards the downside. So that's kind of how that panned out there, and you can see that it is the same deal ish, more or less. I could make it on the DMI certainly, and the MACD, and probably on the stochastics there, although it's hard to see. So there's that divergence on the way up there as we put in the higher highs. Are we in the same sort of mode right now with regards to these? Let's just do this type of analysis. Okay, I mean, obviously I could maybe just kind of try and just run right through. It's at the trend line right now. Cool, it's at the trend line right now. In terms of this here, the basis line, it's right at it. And some other ones. Anyway, yeah. What I could obviously try and do exactly the same as we just did for ICX. I know that was pretty good, but this is also a kind of another way of looking at things, and we might as well talk about it so that there's more educational value by spreading out ideas across different assets, as opposed to sort of the value which is this as well, to be fair, with regards to repetition. But what in this during this period here, we were looking at a couple of things. One was we were tracing the Bollinger Bands towards the top side frequently, coming back down, retesting the basis line, but not breaking below it, and then we broke below it, and then we put in another high, and that's what coincided with the divergence. So far, we've come up towards the top side, been tracing along, or not really tracing, but coming up here, and the standard deviation taking us to it and from it, then tracing it nicely, and come back down towards this line. Everything's kind of in order so far. If you like, then you can bring this up. In fact, you can accidentally put a drawing thing on there. Give me the crosshair back. So we escaped the divergence there. We did have it in the past over in the stochastics there as well, so that's good to see. So things are trending, and they're trending well, fairly strongly. Drop off in the volume in terms of the standard deviation, but then what do we have here is a big downward trend as the volume picked up. Therefore, we can identify this as being stopping volume just in here. So we see some stopping volume with regards to that downward trend. That's good. That happened on 6th of November. 6th of November is when we saw this big turnaround in terms of prices for a lot of different things. Over here we see the 5th and 6th of November representing a high for us in terms of Bitcoin dominance. Now what we see in terms of Bitcoin dominance, of course, is catastrophic, having come all the way back down towards these targets we talked about. Yearn Finance is part of the package of coins, of course, that are doing that. We see this negative price action actually occurring across the board right now. Got to wonder if TradeSpotting's target will come back into play again thereafter, with movements, by the way, down the way, if we do have any. Looking at the way this is formed up as well, with divergence with the top in Bitcoin just now there on those charts. Let's just see if he gets it before taking out the 19,800 topside target that he had in mind. Anyway, back over to YFI. Whoops. So I wanted to just go to a brief intermission there with the Bitcoin dominance chart. This is YFI back on the story here. So yeah, we're approaching these prices in this zone in a slightly different manner to how we did it here, in terms of in terms of what could happen looking forward if we continue to go towards the top side. However, there is also distinct potential for similarities if we fail to go up and put in a high without divergence. And if we do go in and put in a high without divergence, what would we be doing? Well, we'd be going into this oversold or overbought territory, which is what we did back here when we pushed up prices. But then, of course, we would be that would be not divergent. So we'd be going up here and putting in a higher high in this zone without divergence, and just getting to that point where we could then potentially even look towards, would we put in another high afterwards, which is divergent. So you would have that slightly counterintuitive way of looking at things, but we can now start to tie together a few of these points, perhaps by having a brief look first off at the moving averages. Now we already know, roughly speaking, in terms of 29,000 towards the top side, 16,500 towards the bottom side, with the Bollinger Bands and the basis line being where the price is right now. So we're going to just remove the Bollinger Bands with regards to looking at the price action for here, and take a look at a couple of things. First off, we have this new feature on the charts since going back all of a huge 13 days. So we're just coming up towards the end of the very first fortnight of having the 200 simple moving average on the charts here. Now, what we can find when assets just get one of these things at the start is that they like to test these things, right? I mean, this is again not necessarily going to appear in every single book ever for technical analysis, because what books do you have that talk about the assets at the very start of their life? This is something that we live, though, on a daily basis with regards to cryptocurrency. So quite often what we see is that when these 200 simples just start off on a coin from the start, that you come in and get a test of it, So in terms of the most obvious, but the least obvious on the charts point of view, that's one, and you're not going to find that analysis anywhere else in the world, right? Because nobody talks about that. But it's come into existence here, and here we are. And shortly after, what you also quite often find is that you find a cross comes up on them, and it won't be just here that we see that happening. For we go back in time across different assets, it'll be across lots and lots and lots of them. So we're coming in here, and what do we see is that the 200 simple came into existence here. Shortly thereafter, we had a retest of the 200, and we had a cross over there. So if you wanted to have a sort of a Rocky Outcrop unique aspect view of what we're looking at right now in terms of this thing having just started off its life, and something that you're not going to find on any other YouTube channel, then there you go. That's one of them. So that would be curious to me, and it's certainly something that I'll be keeping an eye out for in the future with regards to YFI. At this point, it would have been quicker had I just typed it in, so I'm going to just do that now. YFI USDT. Is this actually on my favorites as well? No. So come on, charts. Come on, charts. Come on. Aha, there they are. Right, so yeah, so that would be my first sort of thing that I would look to in terms of the most bearish case idea. So I hope you like that as a different idea. But of course, we are in a bullish market here, bullish trend in terms of this since November at least, and we've done quite well. So how about we then take a rewind. We look here at the prices in terms of the Fibonacci retracement points between our all-time highs, and most recent of low. And the 236 comes in there at around about where the 50 simple moving average is. So you can see from the perspective of what we were talking about before, that if we were to come back down and retest this, it wouldn't be, you know, brown trousers time quite yet at that point. But in terms of percentages and trading this with leverage, you know, you are looking at 32% decline towards the downside. So that's scary. And of course, that's 16,200, and of course, you know, a good solid 7 grand off the price. So that would be nutso. So, you know, we need to move down the time frames, right? I think that's a fair enough thing to say, but we have come in here and touched off the 618. Pretty much close enough is close enough, and I work on a close enough is close enough basis for moving average, for Fibonacci retracement points. And as we can see here, we certainly got close enough is close enough to this zone to be considering that to be the potential for a high. So let's just dive on down the way and see how we've been coming in. And there is this divergence that came in with this high over here on YFI as we came up towards that zone, pointing out then that we've had this downward retracement and come back out, and clearly then taken out the 236 towards the top side from that high that we had down towards this low, but we're just above it at the minute now. So in terms of the low down time frames, we're back again looking at this in terms of the 4 hour, saying that we want to stay above the 56 period golden atomic number, magic number on the charts, right? Okay, at this point here, this is what we're looking for any upward movement. If we want to see this become the end of this downward trend aspect just here, you know, let's just come in with a low and then a lower high, and then this so far. So what happens going on beyond this point is this becomes a lower low, and you know, then looking at taking out 21,442 is very bad news. What happens at this point is that we actually take out that 618, move towards the top side, kind of disregarding this historical price action, and at that point as having been more or less kind of catered for in terms of this technical analysis, and resuming the overall how are we doing in terms of the moving averages type trending aspect behavior, and taking a look at things in terms of their position, you know, with regards to stochastics and whatnot. Jumping down to the 5 minutes, of course, we want to see this kind of zooming on up the way, ticking over here and taking out the moving average. But if we fail to do that, bing, we just did it. That's what we want to see having happened, and that's good to see. Now we know the anchor point for this is back here, having just got this new one in. We want to see this rise up the way and take out higher targets towards the top side, because if we don't, then what we're just doing is sitting within a wedge formation here, as we can see, or that we would potentially start creating a wedge, regardless, you know, whatever particular way that you want to look at this. If we just draw that in like that for there now, and starting off with this, take it in here from those wicks down to those bodies, you've got this potential idea here for us anyway, and we don't want to experience that for too long. And if we have that go on for too long in terms of oscillating between these price points, then we will of course be looking at a small term time frame symmetrical triangle here. But really, in terms of looking at this, we had a potential inverse head and shoulders here with the most recent resurgence in the 5 minute price action, taking out these highs here, will be moving outside that wedge, gives us the potential to move up towards the 50 simple moving average, which is what we want to see, and taking out our previous high in there at 24,400. This thing is volatile as heck, so there's always a chance of that happening. Let's take a look and see in terms of if there's an area where the trend is kind of died out on, and where our sort of equilibrium is in terms of the time and the lack of trend, if there is one. As my microphone breaks. I'll tell you what, right, this is me coming up towards having to tune out soon, so I don't mind spending the last wee bit of this stream with my microphone in my hand, but this is certainly not my ideal way of doing things. I hope you're finding this interesting, by the way, Spidey Monkey, my friend, and yeah, well, I totally got distracted. That wiped my memory, what I was talking about with regards to the price action because the microphone shenanigans. But I can see here in the 2 hour time frame that looking up the way, we're doing okay in terms of not having like there's no narrative to put around stuff on in terms of time frames like this when you're looking at it like that, you know, in terms of just sheer pointing out the fact that we're consolidating in this area, until such times as we move past any of those sorts of targets. Yeah, mic drop. Then there we have it. That's really funny. I'm going to catch up with the chat here, right? And I'm actually going to just say, I'm going to call quits on this now. So thanks to everybody who's tuned in. We're not taking any more submissions for coin chat. I'm going to go back over towards the Bitcoin chart here, since this is, of course, the mama and papa and the dada and the mama and everything else, and check in with our TA that we started off the show with. Now, bearing in mind that we started the show here, what is it, a solid, let me see here, 2 hours ago. Thanks very much, by the way, to all 14 people watching live now. That might just be 13 if you include me in that. You probably should. So thanks very much to all of you. Can you imagine where we'll be in a year's time? Or like doing this analysis? I think this could have thousands of people watching at one time, easily. This channel with that sort of quality. But maybe I'm missing something. Maybe I need to just focus exclusively on Bitcoin. Whatever. I'm always open, all ears for feedback. But 2 hours ago, this is the 15-minute chart. Bing, 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 bing. This was up here. We then came in with a clean chart, drew this out, talked about how everything could potentially move. What we've seen since then is coming back down here towards this low area of the wedge, 18,970. Movements up towards the top side, touching off the 50 simple moving average here, and of course our 382 Fibonacci retracement point. And of course our exponential moving averages and everything else before continuing to trace down the way, putting in this idea that this of course is a failure of a pattern in terms of that thing, but you know, a movement outside of that simply makes it that sort of the channel within the larger wedge. That's the zone that we're looking down at, and of course then we could probably do this with innumerable different ways of looking at this thing. Fun way to kind of finish off the show in terms of looking at this maybe could be if I put on a fib channel just for the crack here and drag it in using this body here, and left everything else off the chart for just now, and zoom on in to this so that we can have this as our end screen on the charts. Let me know in your comments. I'm going to be spending the next sort of 10 minutes here in the ending soon screen, and I'm going to pop up this here onto the chart and leave it, and just leave the stream running for a wee while so that everybody knows what the chat is with regards to me coming back and doing more of these live streams. But I'm just going to hide everything else that I put on here from before so that we can leave off with what we just did there now in terms of this picture for the charts. I think that looks pretty neat-o for everybody, but I'm not a fan of having this Fibonacci here, so I'm going to hide that. Not that one. In fact, that is the one, so I'm not going to hide it. I just don't like seeing the numbers. If anybody else likes seeing the numbers, that's cool and everything, but I'm going to just take those off. I thought I took them off. I'm not going to take them off. Am I going to take them off or not take them off? Who knows? Prices, that's what I didn't want. So there we have it. That's what we're going to leave off the stream looking at with regards to our page. Now let me just go over to that page and catch up with the chat and say thank you so much to everybody for taking part in this stream. The chat now, if you're coming in for the end of show chat, is going to be the stuff that appears from now on the stream, and I'm going to be able to read up with all of the the last two comments that were there beforehand. That's a pretty cool screen to have at the end. Maybe I could even zoom in a little bit more. I don't know, I think it looks pretty funky there on the charts. Let me just hide off that box. Certainly don't need that on there, so I can get some more real estate for y'all. Cool. There we have it. There we have it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining me here today on November the 24th. It's a Tuesday, and we have successfully done another live stream. We've been on live here for over 2 hours anyhow. It must be nearly off 3. I don't really know. And everything's been going really, really well. We've had a really great stream. I've really enjoyed it. It's been good to know everybody here, get to meet some more people. Got a comment coming up there from Demo. Thanks, Rocky. Awesome as always. Really appreciate you tuning in for that as always as well, Spidey Monkey. Thanks so much to you, Andrew Alvarado, for coming along and tuning in as well. If anybody didn't hit that like button, this is the chance to do it. I know that there's just a dozen of you left here, and you probably already have all liked and subscribed. I'm going to have to read that comment that the guy with the kendama put up there. He says, Rocky, buddy, I'm on Brave with my charts up, so no live chat, but I'm here too. That's quality, matey. It's good to have you. It's good to know that they're there in the background. Tezos down to 255. Oh, the temptation to change this up and take a look. I did look a wee bit at Tezos earlier on. I'm sorry, buddy. I'm going to have to just leave that to the next live stream. We've got Ethereum reports coming in that Ethereum is also up. AB Lopez says, thanks, see you again. Fantastic. I hope you do. I will also start to have a better plan in place in terms of when the live streams will be happening. Maybe I should try and add a bit of text here so that we can have that written out. I'll maybe try and put a bit of text up on screen and make it so that it is got some note about the starting times for the next stream. Next stream, I'm gonna let me just try and say that I want to do my next stream tomorrow with y'all from around about 6 p.m. GMT. Let me know if that sounds good to you, if you're still here, by the way. And if you actually watch this, if you watch this channel and you're watching this after the fact and you've stayed tuned to now, thank you so much for doing that. I really do appreciate it. The view and everything really helps. So let me just add on some chat here. I'm going to put in a next stream, next stream is going to be tomorrow. No, I'll not put tomorrow because people might watch this. I'll say next stream is on the 25th November at 6 p.m. Universal Time, right? UTC, is that right? Universal Time thingy, GMT. I'll just put in UK time. Right. Okie dokie. So that's what I am going to go with. 1600. Should I put 1600, or I should put 1600 instead of 6 p.m. just so that it's clearer again. Yes, so for everybody around the world, we're talking 1800 UTC is going to be the next stream. Where is that text at? It's floating around up there. Wow! Ruined the background. Oh my god. I'll never live it down. I want to make this kind of visible for people. Don't know where it's visible. Up here at the top of the chart. Right, so there we go. Next stream is then, maybe I should change that, maybe make it a bit better to read, a bit more readable. Who knows? Who really knows? I'm going to check in and see all of your Cheerio messages in just a second here, ladies and gents, as we see that the prices have been in this channel, by the way, in the background, and they came back down towards the low end where we have the the 0 point, or the 1 point I should say, in fact, on this fib channel, and we've been unable so far to kind of break past this here of the, I'm going to say 236, but the 236 is up here. That's the 0 there. This is the 1. This is the 886, I do believe. I should really have looked at. No, it's the 786 there. We're looking to try and bust up past the 786 and take out the 68. Whatever, that's all good. I want to change that font so it's the same as the other stuff. And I'll be back with you to say cheerio in just a second, and I really do appreciate it. And a big shout out to the contributor, by the way, because it's really I really am grateful for the contribution, for the donation that was put through earlier on during the live stream by 3000 Trin. I really do appreciate that. Thanks, bro. Thanks to you. You're a good guy for that. I want to change the settings of that font, and then I'm good to go. It's like press or something. It's called like P. It's definitely the P's. Well, I can't see it, but that's maybe fun font as well. That'll do there. That's maybe even less legible. I don't really know, but there we have it. If I stick it here, is that legible enough? That'll do. Figure all these things out some other time. Yes, great. Okay, so last 60 seconds, I suppose, here before cheerio to everybody. Really do appreciate you tuning in. AB Lopez, thanks. See you again, he said. Not yet, lol, said the guy with Kadama. Trade spotting with that suggestion, 1600 or 1800 universal time. That's when I play 2 up. Yeah, play, not press, play. Thanks for that one, for the font. Wow, legend knowing the font. How many people know the name of fonts? Well, that's amazing. And Navanethan, thank you so much for being not only one of my long-term fans, but the fan with the longest name. I really think you've got the coolest name in the world, or one of them certainly, Navanethan. And thanks so much for tuning in. Really do appreciate it. TradeSpotting, you could add all the coins you covered today to that text. Oh yeah, great idea. And suggest hitting rewind and watching it. Cool. Okay, that's what I'll do. That is in fact exactly what I'll do, but I'll do that with I'll just copy that source and I'll pop back over to the thing. I've said cheerio to everybody. You all know the stream's ending soon. You all know that I love you all very, very much. I'm going to put the microphone down, mute it in fact, so that that is done, and I'll go back over and I'll stick the charts on for a wee while with this information as we tune out. Thanks so much, Nav and Ethan. I love you all. I love everybody. Right, I'm saying cheerio. Bye for now. I'll see you tomorrow with another one of these things. Let's see how many people tune in and all that sort of stuff. Thanks so much. Steve Thousand Trin, thanks so much, mate. Really good. Really do appreciate everybody that's been a part of it. Hitting that. The chat window will stay on screen for a wee while. If you want to sort of troll future viewers, you can leave chat in there. I'm just going to go jumping back over to the main sort of live scene screen, so I can leave the charts up here for a wee while with this view as I tune out, and I'll just hide a couple of elements off here, leave the chat on, and I'll catch you all later. So I'm saying cheerio, and thanks for tuning in. Cheerio, Demo, cheerio to everybody. Well done, you got in there a final second before I said bye-bye. See you next time.